Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Worked at Plus Ultra Brews? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. Izuku considers himself to be a pretty chill guy. Of course, he has the occasional freakout that typically ends in a nervous breakdown, but other than that, Izuku thinks of himself as a rather composed person. Most of the time. When he's working, he thinks that's when his composed self really does shine. As a visual artist, he can learn to appreciate the surprisingly similar art of making coffee. Steaming milk and artfully drizzling caramel sauce are the highlights of Izuku's job. Uraraka calls him extra for the care he puts into swirling whipped cream. Ida calls him diligent. Aizawa doesn't really care. It's a normal day at first. He unlocks the shop for his Tuesday morning shift, disables the alarm before it goes off on him, washes out the blenders and wipes down the counters, flips over the chairs from their stacked positions on the tables scattered through the small cafe. He switches on some music from his playlist, which is just songs from the same artist shuffled, and then he prepares some online orders for pickup. He also starts to take out some of the milk and creamer, getting ready for the inevitable morning rush hour that floods the shop every single day. There's some regulars, like that purple-haired man Shinso, if Izuku's memory serves him right, that comes in with eye bags darker than the void and the black coffee that he always orders. Or that green-haired girl, Tsu. She always tells him to write on her cup after her third order, but Izuku still writes, Azui, that Uraraka obviously has a crush on that orders a flat white buy daily. Ida and Uraraka file into the shop, the bell jingling merrily and making Izuku look up from his position restocking the ice cubes. Deku-kun! Uraraka exclaims gleefully, tugging off her heavy winter coat and throwing it into the back room. You always get here so early. Yeah, Izuku responds, shoveling another scoop of ice into the metal box under the counter. It makes it easier for the morning rush, so I thought I'd just wake earlier and get here anyways. But you really don't have to, Uraraka chides, tying her apron on. When all three of us are here, we can set up quick enough for the customers. Izuku just hums, leaning down and grasping the ice scooper with crooked and scarred fingers, and he dumps another load of cubes into the small fridge. I guess I just need something to do. Yeah, I can understand that. Uraraka beams, and she glances down at the task that Izuku is in the midst of completing. But in my humble opinion, I don't think anyone is going to order an ice drink today. It's pretty cold outside. That's true, Izuku says, and the clatter of ice cubes fills the pause after the statement. But you'd be surprised. Some people are crazy. Well, I think that most of the people in the morning rush are sane, Uraraka says, leaning on the counter. I don't know a single regular that orders ice drinks. Izuku stops to consider this, pursing his lips. I guess you're right, but not all the people in the morning rush are regulars, Uraraka. Well, the regulars would get here earlier, right? Uraraka says, twiddling with her apron. I would think that the first 10 orders would all be hot drinks. Uraraka looks over at Izuku, meeting his eyes, and Izuku knows that look. It's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. Okay then, Izuku says, mocking innocence. Well, I think that in at least the first 15 orders there would be at least one ice drink. You're on. How much are you betting? Izuku glances up at the ceiling, biting his lip in consideration. I still need to get you back for last week dash. That was stupid. There was no way you were gonna make a hot chocolate in 10 seconds, Deku-kun, and you knew it, so it wasn't my fault dash. Izuku ignores everything Uraraka said, instead settling on a number. 2,000 yen. Uraraka scoffs, like she's bored, but Izuku can see the gleam in her eyes. Fine. And that is how it begins. Shudo is not having a good day. And that's saying a lot, considering it's only 5 in the morning and he's just woken up. His eyes had snapped open only a few minutes ago, his chest heaving and his left eye burning, and his bangs slick with sweat. Already it was supremely uncomfortable. And then he couldn't even boil water for his coffee, the kettle, and he put his shirt on backwards and his jacket was inside out. He forgot to charge his phone and now it's sitting in his pocket on 4%, and his lack of caffeine is really getting to him. Walking into the kitchen was a nightmare, perhaps more of one than his actual nightmare, his knees shaking like he was 5 all over again and the left side of him burning and melting the whole time. He doesn't have much to do today, all things considered. Typically his day would be packed full of rehearsals and interviews, sessions at the studio and hours spent under his father's watchful gaze. But thankfully he doesn't have anything scheduled until 8 in the evening for an appearance on a talk show. Despite his unexpected break from his duties, the day is absolutely terrible and Shudo knows it'll stay this way. The walls of his apartment feel a bit too tight, and he decides from his position flopped over on the couch that he needs to go outside to get a breath of fresh air. Shudo glances out the window, taking in the slowly rising sun and still dark sky, but decides that he would rather get mugged than mope in his living room all day. It also feels too lonely, too empty, no one there, no heat or cold, just nothing. His hallway is sparsely decorated, no picture frames or decoration or anything that makes the space truly feel inhabited. The feeling follows Shudo all the way to the restroom. At the mirror in the bathroom, he tries to make himself look a little less like a thug and more like an acceptable member of society that is not hyperventilating and a person that is definitely fully in control of himself. He combs through his hair a bit, separating the white and red strands, and he dabbles a little concealer under his eyes so that the bags don't stand out too much. And of course, because he's going out in public like a normal civilian, he'll need a disguise so that he doesn't get recognized. It's not too difficult to accomplish. Shudo has various eye patches prepared in his closet specifically for time like these so he can cover his burning, melting, boiling, unsightly scar. Shudo usually wears an eye patch when he goes into public anyways, just so that people could actually meet his eyes instead of just staring, not discreetly, at his scar, eyes full of unspoken questions that beg to be asked. Shudo also has a black beanie that he pulls on and tucks his hair into. His stylist had told him that was important. Shudo's red and white hairstyle is perhaps the most iconic part of his image, and the first time he made the mistake of not covering it he was swarmed by the media almost immediately. All he wanted that day was a bowl of soba anyways. But nope, or of course his celebrity status just had to ruin it for him, right? Shudo still feels like he's melting when he's at the door, pulling on a heavy coat with a furred hood, just to make sure that his disguise doesn't slip. It's the only jacket that he owns, a gift from Fuyumi, and although Shudo would normally bundle up in it and maybe put on a scarf or some gloves, he feels like it's too hot, boiling, for that. Shudo checks his phone for the weather. It reads a cheery -15 degrees Celsius. Shudo sighs, considering putting on some gloves at least, but in the end his scar just feels too hot, burning, under his eye patch, and he walks through his door without much preamble. The cold is bitter, but it caresses Shudo like a warm hand nonetheless. Walking through the city in the dark is an eerie type of thing. Most of the time when it's dark there's still bunches of people out on the streets, partying and walking home drunk, but in the early mornings there's nearly no one dawdling around. Even if there were people, they would look dead on their feet. The sun is starting to blister across the navy sky, sending curtains of lava, boiling, burning, cascading through the clouds, slowly warming up the air. Shudo's breath puffs out when he exhales, and he blinks lazily. He definitely needs caffeine. The world is hazy in his eyes. Before his daily coffee, he can't even operate like a functional human being. His manager often makes fun of him for his dependency on caffeine, but he seriously can't help it. Glancing down the block, Shudo decides to step into the nearest coffee shop, dreading the rest of the day. "Black coffee for Shinso," Izuku calls cheerily, sliding the drink down the counter. "Thank you," Shinso says quietly, and he blinks lethargically as he takes a sip. "Good as always." Izuku beams at the praise, even though it's what Shinso says every single time he gets his drink. "Come again soon," Izuku says, waving as Shinso leaves through the glass doors. Izuku rushes back to the counter, glancing at the next few orders and pulling out the cup sizes necessary for them. So far the morning rush has been as expected. There's quite a few people here today, and orders are flying in fast. He quickly pulls the milk he'd set aside earlier out from the steamer, drizzling the liquid into the black coffee base sitting at the bottom of the takeout cup. The white disperses into the dark, before rising up again and coloring it a brilliant tan. Izuku takes a spoon and he scoops some of the foam from the metal cup that contained the milk, sliding it on top of the liquid and then humming with satisfaction as it settles. He caps it with a lid, and then reads the name printed on the label. Latte macchiato for Kirishima. A man with spiky red hair and an even redder coat slides in front of Izuku, and he hands the man his drink happily. Kirishima nods, shark-like teeth flashing. Thanks, bro, the man says, taking a sip and walking out with a smile and wave. Come visit us again. Izuku waves back, and then he rushes back to the counter, picking up another cup and reading the order. He bounces up and down to the beat of the music playing in the background as he pulls out the needed ingredients. Somewhere to Izuku's left, Uraraka sighs, shoulders hunched and practically draped over the counter with her weight. I don't understand how you can have so much energy, Uraraka grumbles, tapping on the cash register. They've gotten through the customers currently in the cafe now, so she hurries away from her position to help Izuku with the orders. It's way too early for this. It's never too early, Izuku argues, pouring water into a cup and sticking an Earl Grey tea bag into it. Besides, all the people here look so tired. The least I can do is be energetic for them. I admire your strength, Deku-kun, Uraraka drawls, pouring 2 packets of sweetener, excessive, in Izuku's humble opinion, into the coffee base. But not all of us can do it. Izuku hums in response, getting started on the next order of the list. It's order number 14 of the day, and the last on the queue. It's also a hot drink without ice, like all the past 13 orders have been as well. Uraraka glances over at the screen, and her grin turns feral. And it looks like I'm winning this bet. That's 2,000 yen for me. This is so not fair, Izuku whines, turning back to the tea he'd left soaking and dragging out the used bag. You won the last bet too. I'm gonna go broke at this point. And I'm gonna be rich. Uraraka responds triumphantly, capping her drink and sliding it down the counter with a drawl of, "Coffee for Ja." A girl with her earbuds in walks up to the counter with tired-looking eyes, and she nods once at Uraraka before grabbing her drink and leaving the shop with a tinkle of the chimes. I'm so happy that you're utterly uncaring about my monetary situation, Izuku deadpants, putting a lid over the freshly brewed tea in the takeout cup and walking over to the counter. Earl Grey for Yaoyorozu. A girl with a ponytail saunters up to the counter with a cordial smile. Thank you. No problem, Izuku exclaims, flashing a smile. Visit us again soon. Uraraka yawns, rubbing at her eyes. Then she blinks away the resulting tears and gestures vaguely at Izuku. See? This is what I mean. You're so excited and her hands wave around in the air. Izuku grins at her, and she shields her eyes like he's blinded her. Energetic. Save some of it for the rest of us. Nope. Izuku responds, not even looking at Uraraka and instead focusing on drizzling the caramel sauce on the foam of the next order. He knows who the drink is for, and he takes extra care in making the lines smooth. You're already taking my money today, I'm not gonna give you anything more. Ah, Uraraka says, and she leans against the counter with a stretch. Oh, I guess I'm getting paid for this at least. Technically you're getting double paid. My 2,000 yen and your paycheck for the week. They slip into an easy silence again, and over all the chatter and ambience of the cafe, Izuku can't help but notice the song, an oldie but a goldie from Entropy, coming up on the speakers overhead. Idly he begins to hum along, sliding a lid over the caramel macchiato with a flourish and calling for the customer's name. Caramel macchiato for Kaken Dash. Izuku suddenly fumbles, breaking himself out of his impromptu jam and almost dropping the drink. Caramel macchiato for Bakugu. The familiar silhouette of Izuku's childhood friend slides into his vision, with a tan coat and a flannel scarf. Kaken snatches the drink from Izuku's waiting hand, somehow not spilling any of the liquid with the aggressive movement. I told you not to call me that with my drinks, nerd. Yeah, sorry, I forgot, Izuku says, laughing nervously. I'll try not to do that next time. You better not, Deku, Kaken says, and then he's out the door. Izuku immediately slumps over, hugging the counter for dear life. He can feel some of the customers staring at him from various tables around the room, and it makes Izuku want to melt himself in the steamer. He and Kaken are on better terms now, after middle school, and certainly after high school. They learn to respect each other as artists, Kaken going to become a drummer in one of the country's top bands, and Izuku with his sketchbooks and paintings. Izuku is still antagonized by Kaken daily though, but it's definitely not as malicious as it used to be. He does this every day, doesn't he? Uraraka asks, walking over to him and pulling him up from his hunched position. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he still hates me. Izuku sighs, striding over to the sink and grabbing a wet towel to wipe down the counters that are splattered with coffee, milk, and various other liquids. He keeps coming back though, Uraraka says, and before Izuku can respond, the bell to the front door rings. A new customer has just walked into the shop with the fated 15th order that decides Izuku's fate. I'll get that, Izuku tells Uraraka. You took the past 14 orders, so I'll just take this one. I'm so winning this bet, Uraraka squeals, and she leans back on the counter to relax. Izuku hangs the cloth back on the hook above the faucet, and he wipes his hands on his apron to clean them before touching the cash register. Then he makes his way to the front of the cafe, humming to the song over the speakers, and he calls out a chirpy greeting. Welcome to Plus Ultra Brews. How may I help you today? The man that greets Izuku is someone that Izuku has never seen in the shop before. He wears a puffy black coat with an even puffier hood that looks like it costs 3 times Izuku's paycheck and skin-tight jeans that Izuku does not want to acknowledge this early in the morning. When Izuku scans over his face, he's met with an eye patch covering the man's left eye and a black beanie that covers all the man's hair, if he has any. The one eye that Izuku can see is smoky, a stormy gray that is casted with shadows from the lights overhead. Another notable feature is that this man is very, very beautiful. Even if Izuku can't see half his face or even his possibly non-existent hair, he can't help but see the sculpted facial features, dainty nose, slim eyebrow and graceful lashes. The man's collarbones peek out from beneath his coat's neckline, and judging by the legs this man has on him, the puffy coat is hiding his no doubt chiseled figure. The man pauses at the counter, and Izuku's snapped out of his daydreaming when the man speaks in a low baritone, gravely with disuse as if he'd just woken up. I'll have, the man pauses, holding a hand to his covered left eye, before tilting his head up at the menu and then back to Izuku, who fumbles and tries not to melt under the man's gaze. I'll have an iced coffee. Then the man pauses again before he adds, with as much ice as you can fit in the cup. Behind Izuku, Uraraka deflates, effectively defeated. Izuku clears his throat. What size? Do you want your drink in? Oh, the man says, and he blinks once, lashes fanning over his cheeks. They're white, his lashes are white. Is his hair white too? Izuku can't tell with the beanie and the eye patch. That should not be as attractive as it is. Medium. Okay. Izuku sputters out, jabbing the order onto the screen and trying not to embarrass himself in front of the pretty stranger. What's your name? The man pauses yet again, taking time to think about his name for some reason. Then he opens his mouth, closes it again, then says, Sho. Sho, Izuku mutters, testing it on his tongue. He taps in the name, and then the order is entered into the system. If you would please make your way to the left towards the waiting area, we'll have your drink ready soon. I haven't paid yet though, Sho says, and Izuku hears Uraraka muffle her laughter behind him. Oh, a dash. Izuku feels heat crawling up into his cheeks, uncomfortably hot. Yeah. Sorry, that'll be 300 yen. Sho nods, pulling out his wallet from the pocket of his coat, and then taking out a sleek black credit card and sliding it down the card swiper. The transaction goes through, Izuku's cheeks burning the whole time, and the receipt spits itself out of the printer. With fumbling hands, Izuku tears the paper from the machine. The paper rips at the bottom due to his unsteady grip, and Izuku mutters under his breath before handing the mangled paper to Sho. Thank you, Sho says, folding the receipt with dainty fingers, not seeming to care much about the tear at the bottom. He then glances down at Izuku's name tag and adds a Midoriya. Sho walks away from the cash register, making his way to the left as instructed. Izuku slinks to the cold coffee machine, swiping a plastic medium-sized cup on the way, and starts to fill it with liquid. Well, you won the bet, Uraraka says slyly. And you might have won something else along the way. No, I have not, Izuku responds, trying to sound firm, but instead his speech comes out as a whimper when he looks over to see Sho leaning against the counter in his skinny jeans and with his stupidly pretty face. Sure, Uraraka says with a grin. Pretty sure that Sho person over there has got you rather interested. I mean, Izuku takes a deep breath in. I haven't won anything. I just, like you said, I'm interested. Nothing else. Uraraka raises an eyebrow. Nothing else, you say? Nope, absolutely nothing, Izuku says, crossing his arms. It's not like he'll come again, right? He seems like a posh guy that just dropped into our shop for one drink. I've never seen him before today. Okay, Uraraka says. Then she walks to the back room, coming out with a Sharpie. But you could give him your number. Izuku sputters as Uraraka shoves the pen into his hands. I can't do that. That would be so weird. He doesn't even know me anyways, and it's not like, I mean, he wouldn't text me. We don't even know if likes guys in the first place, and I haven't done anything to gain his attention. You're selling yourself short, Uraraka says, patting him on the shoulder. You have a cute face and a pretty nice build. All the kickboxing paid off. Uraraka Izuku sputters, feeling heat fly up his face for the nth time this morning. But still. I messed up his order, and stared at him for a good 5 minutes. How is that not weird at all? Excuse me, Midoriya, was it? A voice calls from the waiting place. Izuku looks up to see Sho speaking to him. Yeah, that's me, that's my name, Izuku sputters, fidgeting with the tie of his apron. What is it? The drink, Sho says, pointing behind Izuku. I think it's overflowing. Izuku freezes, before paling, and then turning bright red again. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Izuku whips around, almost tripping from the speed he hurries to the order, and finds that the drink is in fact overflowing. Thankfully there's a tray right under the dispenser just for catching overflowing liquid. On the way he grabs the cloth from its hook, and when he gets to the cup he immediately flips the switch off and wipes the excessive liquid that splattered on the table. Deku-kun, Uraraka chides, sliding over beside him with another washcloth. You're a walking disaster. I know, Izuku grumbles back, and he thinks that he had never wanted to melt into the tiles more than this moment. Can you, remake the drink? I don't think I'm capable of doing anything right now. Sure thing, Uraraka says, patting Izuku on the back. And besides, even if you don't get that man's but Uraraka. At least you won this bet. Uraraka pours the drink down the sink, grabbing another cup, and filling it with an atrocious amount of ice before putting it under the cold brew dispenser again. They both watch the drink fill up, settling into a silence with Uraraka smirking happily and Izuku fidgeting with his fingers, trying not to look too odd in Sho's presence. Izuku has messed up Sho's order, and messed up talking to Sho. There's no way in hell he's coming back. The thought makes Izuku feel a bit terrible, but Sho makes up for it when he takes a sip of his drink and sends Izuku a small smile as he makes his way out the door. Candid tonight heavy checkmark at candid_tonight. Tune in at 8 p.m. on your local television for an exclusive interview with @T_Shudo, also known as vocal artist Entropy, and get an in-depth look at his routine as a star as well as more information on his soon-to-be-released album, Paragon. #Todoroki Shudo #Entropy album. 256 retweets 6,570 likes. 7:30 p.m. January XX. I'm screaming at Illy Entropy. A candid understand I am. So hype. 21 retweets 108 likes. 7:31 p.m. January XX. Hey at hike_. A candid_night. It's been so long since Entropy went to an interview. Give us the food please, the fanbase is starving. 4 retweets 32 likes. 7:39 p.m. January XX. What's poppin' at popcorn? At hike_you at candid_night really just saving lives 3 retweets 17 likes. 7:40 p.m. January XX. Elsie at Gogo. A candid_7 ask about his routine as a star? Please I beg of you make him give out his skincare routine BC this man sells RGLOWING I need to know what witchcraft he does. 29 retweets 387 likes. 7:41 p.m. January XX. Can Wednesday come sooner at @Duris_? The new hashtag Entropy album looks so hype y'all and it releases in 3 weeks please can we just fast forward time or since I wanna buy it. And marry it. 3 retweets 12 likes. 8:34 p.m. January XX. Stall at C418 ad. At @Duris_wife WTF do you even mean by looks so hype, there isn't even any cover art lol? 2 retweets 7 likes. 8:35 p.m. January XX. Can Wednesday come sooner at @Duris_? It's an Entropy album. It doesn't matter if there's nothing TOC yet we all know it'll be amazing, smiley face. 2 retweets 43 likes. 8:37 p.m. January XX. Ia at Seb875. At @Duris_, the album exists but can we talk about the talk show? And how Todoroki went on a whole tangent about coffee and his inability to function without it. Bruh like what a fat mood huh? 13 retweets 39 likes. 8:40 p.m. January XX. Crying in the Club BC of Entropy at Insanity. At Seb875 bruh that was like the most we've ever seen him talk in an interview, maybe the most we've ever seen him talk ever. And it was about coffee. 5 retweets 41 likes. 8:42 p.m. January XX. Ooh at @__. At Insanity it was so precious. Someone already made a gif of him smiling when he talked about the barista. 0 retweets 20 likes. 8:45 p.m. January XX. Crying in the Club BC of Entropy at Insanity. At @___ already? Gimme. 2 retweets 24 likes. 8:46 p.m. January XX. He ordered iced coffee at help_. Who in the hell orders iced coffee in 8-degree weather? This man is immune to the cold TF. 21 retweets 200 likes. 8:45 p.m. January XX. Janet. At Toda_LY672. At help_ remember when someone caught him drinking hot chocolate in 38-degree weather. Not just the cold. He's also immune to heat somehow I'm jealous. 1 retweet 20 likes. 8:46 p.m. January XX. I'm simping at asf. I can't believe his barista almost messed up his drink? And almost forgot to make him pay? Oich my lord. Imagine having hashtag Todoroki shoulda walk into your cafe and then messing up his order dokfjakal, FDJ. 10 retweets 65 likes. 8:50 p.m. January XX. I want iced coffee now at Stowe's. At Astfg I think the barista messed up his order because it was Entropy. I mean I would not be able to function if Todoroki waltzed into my cafe too? 2 retweets 14 likes. 8:54 p.m. January XX. I'm simping at Astfg. At Stowe's yeah okay understandable have a nice day. 0 retweets 2 likes. 8:59 p.m. January XX. Show comes again. It's a surprise for Izuku, quite honestly. He didn't think that Sho would come back after the disaster that was his first experience in the cafe. And yet here he is, in the same expensive black coat and with a set of ripped jeans, a white beanie and a stylish eye patch. He also has a bag with him today, maybe he's going somewhere. Or even staying in the cafe to do his work. It's a pleasant thought that Izuku didn't completely ruin Sho's experience and first impression of Plus Ultra Brews, at least enough for Sho to come again and actually sit down to enjoy the atmosphere the staff has so carefully crafted. He's the first customer of the day, arriving just as the shop opened. Sho walks to the counter, expression blank, and he greets Izuku with the same warm baritone. Medium iced coffee with extra ice, please. Izuku prepares himself to speak, so that he doesn't fumble over his words like he did yesterday. That'll be yen 300 dash. Izuku pauses, breaking out of his calm voice, and he squeaks, I mean, 300 yen. That'll be 300 yen. That's the price. Sho doesn't seem to be affected by Izuku's flustered speaking, and all he does is take out his wallet and swipe the same black credit card on the scanner. Sho nods to Izuku, who hands him the receipt, and then he walks to the left to wait for his order. The sun isn't even up yet, and Izuku is bone-tired. He'd been up all night drawing. Some new covers from Entropy had sent him into a flurry of inspiration at the sweet hour of 1 in the morning, for hours before he had to get to work. As a matter of fact, Izuku's still listening to the same songs and covers over and over on the speakers. He has an idea and everything, but he just doesn't know how to approach it. Sho is hunched in on himself as Izuku starts to hum along to the music, preparing the iced coffee and making sure not to overflow it this time. "Here you go," Izuku says, sliding the drink that is at least 70% ice down the counter and into Sho's waiting hands. Sho nods in return, grabbing a straw, and then he sits down on a chair in the corner of the small cafe. Izuku watches as he pulls out a well-used notepad from his bag and a pen, and Sho takes a sip of his iced coffee before he starts to write in it. "You're staring," Uraraka says, sliding up beside Izuku and patting him on the shoulder. "You should give him your number." "No, I should not," Izuku adamantly says, tearing his eyes away from Sho as he takes off his puffy black jacket to put on the back of his chair. He's wearing a collared button-up shirt underneath his layers, and there's a gleam of a silver chain around Sho's neck, and Izuku might just boil alive at this point. Uraraka sighs, grabbing Izuku's shoulders and turning him away from where Sho is sitting. "Deku-kun, we have drinks to make." "Drinks?" Izuku says dreamily. "Sho made me make drinks for him too." "It's literally your job," Uraraka drawls, amused, and they turn back to work as more people file into the cafe. The atmosphere in Plus Ultra Brews is so much better than Shudo's own home. It's warm, comfy, habited, and even though the hours that Shudo chooses to work in the small cafe are some of the busiest of the day, all the noise fades into ambience. And it's not like he can hear it all too well when he has his headphones on anyway. He's getting started on writing his next song. Father insisted that even if a new album will be released soon, that's no reason to slack off and not prepare for future releases. Shudo had rolled his eyes, of course, but he had to admit that getting a head start on things isn't all too bad. But whenever he tries to songwrite at home, in his small apartment which feels much too empty to be comfortable, it feels lackluster. Perhaps that's why he's not too positive on the album. What he tried to express just wouldn't come out, the lyrics not enough. His father doesn't care, of course. All he wants is a hit in the rankings and an album to hype the fans. The one thing about Plus Ultra Brews that Shudo finds a bit odd is the music that they always play. When he'd first visited, it had registered in his mind as maybe a one-time thing, but he's been here for a full 15 minutes and all they're playing is Shudo's own songs with a few covers from here to there. Quite frankly, it's rather embarrassing. Shudo's glad he bought his headphones with him, otherwise he doesn't think he'd be able to concentrate, hearing his own voice belting lyrics half-heartedly through the speakers. It also means that he takes extra time to hide his identity as the person actually playing on the speakers. The staff certainly have a liking to his songs, and he's rather certain they would riot if they find out who he really is. Choosing an alias like Sho is a common tactic that Shudo uses, but he can't help but feel that it may not be enough in this circumstance. And of course, Shudo can't talk about the cafe without mentioning the barista, which is a literal thing that Shudo has discovered, perhaps it's attachment, almost, except Shudo doesn't feel like he can get attached to things or people. And yet still he can't not think about Midoriya with his frizzy curls and constantly red cheeks with freckles on both sides, can't even talk about his day without going on tangents about him. Which could be problematic, and now, as Shudo is attempting to write a song, it is problematic. He's trying to figure out some lyrics, and maybe draft out a tune along the way. But instead all he's writing is about the color green, emeralds, and coffee. He's been trying for a full 15 minutes to do something else, write about anyone else, but here he is with 2 verses that he hadn't even realized were about Midoriya. Shudo reads his lyrics over for the 3rd time, which are scribbled over erased pencil and wrinkled paper. Still it's all about plants, ferns, jade, coffee beans, freckles, curly hair. Shudo closes his eyes, breathing in and out to calm his frustration. Typically he doesn't sing about other people. Typically he sings about objects, landscapes, emotions, animals, living, breathing, just never other people, because he's never gotten close enough to anyone to feel comfortable singing about them. It's also just too complicated. First you have to find an interesting person, spend time with them and get to know them, become friends, whatever. It's a long process that Shudo quite honestly doesn't want to go through or exactly need. He's been pretty successful with his current songs anyway. Shudo takes a break from his scribbling, instead taking a sip of his iced coffee, which is mostly distantly coffee-flavored water from the melted ice. The cold of it washes over his tongue, calming him, and he gets back to work. His pencil hits the paper, writing down one sentence, one line starting with a capital letter and ending with a comma, a tune that jumps a fifth, if he's brave, and octave. Shudo lays down the foundation of the line in his script, in a print that his father had trained him to perfect. He sets down his pencil and he reads over the line. Who knew cocoa could be so sweet and verdant? His words read, and Shudo, as quietly and gracefully as one can, slams his head on the keyboard of his laptop. He looks frustrated with something. Izuku tells Uraraka in a totally not creepy way. Please stop thirsting over a stranger and help me make these drinks, Uraraka responds. Shudo sits on a chair across his manager, arms crossed over his bag. You still don't have an album cover? Akira asks him, slapping the table in frustration, maybe a bit of bewilderment, effectively knocking over their shining nameplate that is perched precariously on the hardwood. That's like the most important part. I know, Shudo sighs, looking down at his entwined fingers. For advertising and all that. My father informed me. Akira sighs, slumping over in their chair, their circular glasses almost slipping off the bridge of their round nose. This is a disaster. I know. You are a disaster. I'm also aware of that. Oh my God, Akira grumbles, shoving their head into their arms which are crossed on the table. How am I supposed to explain this to your editors? I'm not sure, Shudo says. I'm sorry you're having so much trouble with this, Akira. I'll try to get album art soon. It's been a few days since his last visit to Plus Ultra Brews, and he hasn't gone back once since his second visit. He wants to, of course. But Shudo's father is really stacking on the workload as they approach the album's release, pre-filming music video after music video and redoing recording after recording until Shudo thought his throat would bleed. The past 4 days haven't been comfortable, to say the least. Shudo thinks that he should sit down at the cafe again, write a few more lines of a song he has prepared, maybe try and find someone to do an album cover for him. It wouldn't be too difficult due to his rather large presence in the industry, but finding the right work is what always nags him. This particular set of songs are Shudo's favorite, perhaps. Since his first few days in the industry, he's come quite far. It had only been so fun to write because of Akira. Ever since they were hired, Shudo's father has laid back a bit, allowing Shudo to actually enjoy music and singing songs after years of half-heartedly scribbling lyrics and mumbling them into a microphone with a jarringly contrasting high-quality instrumental track. Shudo had never been satisfied with his songs before. But sometime after visiting his mother again, he'd gotten more in depth with his words and his voice, trying harder and doing better, regardless of what his father tells him. His mother had always supported him in the music department. Teaching him piano, chords, music theory, and singing him to sleep had been common before. The scar. Before she'd left. Okay, besides your obvious predicament with your cover art, we need to talk about all the requests you're getting to appear in talk shows, Akira continues. After that whole debacle with Candid, everyone seems to think you're into interviews again. Shudo pauses. I don't know what happened. The interview was my father's idea, not mine. I'm aware of that, Akira says indignantly. I know interviews make you very uncomfortable, Todoroki-san, and I got in a rather large fight with your father over it. And he didn't fire you? Surprisingly, I am in the clear, Akira says. What a shame, Shudo drawls. Slandering and insulting each other is the staple of their relationship. Some would say it's unhealthy, but to them, it's the norm. I'm upset that I'm so obviously not important to you, sir. Shudo doesn't say anything, but he supposes his small grin is enough of a response for them. But anyways, Akira says, clapping their hands together delightfully. Everyone's sending requests to you again. It's like your earlier years in the industry. Ah, the good old days from before I had you. Yeah, I know you love me. Akira taps something on their keyboard, and they pull up something before turning the monitor so Shudo can see it. Look at this, You have 90 requests nationwide. Shudo says, analyzing the lists of endless invitations from various talk shows, radio shows, and podcasts. That is pretty unusual. Yup. Akira turns their monitor back towards them, humming. You certainly did cause quite a stir anyways, Todoroki-san. With all your talk about coffee. Shudo is well aware of his nonsensical ranting about coffee and Midoriya spilling his drink all over the place and forgetting to make him pay, but he absolutely refuses to acknowledge the fact that he blew up Twitter over his impromptu caffeine trip from escaping trauma at 5 in the morning. I just really like caffeine, I guess. And the barista that I literally cannot stop writing about. Oh boy do I know, Akira responds, and they cross their arms and lean back into their plush leather chair. I remember that one time you came into the studio half dead until I gave you a cup of coffee that you downed like a shot. And I took a video of it. And it trended on Twitter. I'm not that dependent on caffeine, Shudo mumbles, knowing fully well that he is in fact that dependent on caffeine. You definitely are, Todoroki-san. Sure, Shachuo says, getting up from his chair. I have to go. You have absolutely nothing on your schedule, Todoroki-san. You don't know that, Shudo says, grabbing his coat off the hook by the door. I am literally your manager, Todoroki-san. I can pull up your schedule in 2 seconds. Shudo ignores them. Thanks for your help, Akira. Shudo twists the handle of the door, sliding his left arm through one sleeve and then the other, and he swings open the door with a small wave back. Just doing my job, Akira responds, and then Shudo slinks out the door, shutting it with a quiet click. Please stop staring at him and just talk to him. No, I can't do that, Dash. Oh my god, Uraraka says. At least give him your number? No, definitely not. Nope, never. You're such a disaster, Uraraka tells him, wiping down the counters. It's just around 12 in the afternoon, and what the staff at the cafe like to call the ambient hour has just started. There's not many customers, coming in one by one to either pick up something and leaving or staying and doing work. Sho is here for the first time in 4 days. Izuku was definitely not counting, of course not, and he's yet again scribbling furiously on a notepad with headphones on. Izuku watches curiously as Sho writes something, squints at it, then erases it, then writes again, then sighs and closes his eyes. Sho suddenly glances up at Izuku, and he meets his gaze before Izuku blushes furiously and inches away from the counter. Just talk to him, Uraraka hisses at him when he skips over to her side of the bar. Please, you're just coming off as creepy. Yeah, but how? Izuku says, waving his hands around his head. What should I say? Or do? Just start a conversation with him. That's so difficult. You're asking way too much of me, Uraraka. You'll be fine, Uraraka says. Maybe start it with something you like to do? Or something you're good at. Like what? You could show him your art, that's pretty amazing. Izuku blanches, then he reddens. No, nope. Not my drawings. That would be not fun. At all. Okay then, Uraraka says, and she leans against the counter to face Izuku. Make him a drink, you're pretty good at that too. Izuku pauses, opens his mouth, then closes it again. Before he can actually answer in words, the bell rings and he has to serve the next customer. Shudo is struggling to write a song for the 4th time this week when Midoriya walks over to him stiffly, holding a drink that is chock full of ice. It already has a straw stabbed through the top, and the plastic is clenched tightly in Midoriya's grip. Shudo slips off his headphones, which aren't even playing anything, he's just wearing them to block out his own voice echoing through the speakers of the small cafe. Hello, Shudo greets, and Midoriya stops like a deer caught in the headlights. Hi, Midoriya answers back, and he shifts the drink from his right hand to his left hand. How are you? I'm fine, Shudo responds, tilting his head curiously at Midoriya. And you? I'm good, Midoriya squeaks. There's a moment of awkward silence, and Shudo idly twirls his pencil between his fingers just to have something to do. When the silence continues, Shudo tugs his eye patch further down just in case. Then Midoriya speaks again. So, I bought you a drink. Shudo blinks, looking up from his notepad of erased and half-drafted songs, eyeing the cup in Midoriya's hands. Should I pay at the register? No. Midoriya says, a tad too loud, and some people in the cafe glance at him. Ahem. Sorry. No, you don't have to pay, it's a dash. Shudo watches Midoriya fumble through his words, appreciating the red blush that spreads through his cheeks. It's on the house. Midoriya finishes, his free hand clutched behind his nape in what can only be defined as a nervous habit. Oh, Shudo says after a while of staring. Thank you. What is it? Midoriya hands the drink to him, and he wipes his wet hands on his apron. It's just an iced caramel macchiato, not too sweet because I don't think you like those kinds of things. Not that I'm assuming, I kinda did assume but that's not what I meant to do, if that makes sense, which it doesn't dash. Shudo tunes out Midoriya's rambling in favor of taking a sip of the drink. Midoriya's right, it's not too sweet, but the flavor of caramel is pleasant on Shudo's tongue and the aftertaste of coffee is just as good. It's really good, Shudo says to Midoriya, taking another sip. Thank you. Yeah. No problem. Midoriya says back, and he smiles for a couple of seconds before the other barista at the counter calls him back. Deku-kun, get back to work. Midoriya flushes even redder somehow, and he hurries back to the counter with a little wave in Shudo's direction. Shudo allows himself a small smile, and he slips his headphones on again to block the sound of his own songs playing over the speakers. He starts to write again, not entirely aware of the words he's putting down. When he song-writes, all the lyrics just come to him at the forefront of his mind, appearing and then getting written down by Shudo's own subconscious. It makes writing lyrics a lot faster but also a little boring, but honestly Shudo doesn't mind that much. He just hopes that it isn't the same as. Shudo looks down at what he's written. Caramel down caffeinated liquid, and you jade down my throat, his words read. Shudo sighs. God damn it. Izuku's on break the next time Sho walks into Plus Ultra Brews. He's sitting at one of the tables under a window, sketching in his notebook while listening to Entropy's tracks, thriving in the inspiration that the music causes and the ambience of the coffee shop he's grown to love over the years. At first, Izuku isn't even aware that Sho is in the shop. He's too immersed in his work to hear the tingle of the bell, the now familiar baritone of Sho's voice, and the same order uttered in the same low tone. Then Sho walks up to him and says, "Is this seat occupied?" Izuku is jolted out of his drawing immediately, his hands instinctively picking up his notebook and snapping it shut. Sho, I didn't see you there. Sho stands with the same eye patch, coat, and beanie, his expression blank but Izuku can see the mirth of a smile in his eyes. In Sho's hand is an iced coffee, almost completely full of ice. Were you drawing? Yeah, Izuku mumbles, loosening his tight grip on his book. You're good at it, Sho tells him, and he slides into the chair across from Izuku. Izuku feels like he might just combust. Oh really? Thank you Sho, Izuku says, giggling nervously and looking anywhere but the gorgeous person in front of him. Why aren't you working? Sho asks him, taking a sip from his excessively iced coffee. Oh, I'm on break, Izuku tells him. So I thought I'd just spend the time drawing. Sho responds, leaning his cheek on his palm. Can I see your sketches? A dash. It's okay if you don't want to show me, Sho says honestly, and Izuku can feel the sincerity behind his words. I understand, and I won't be offended. No, it's okay. It's just dash. Izuku takes his sketchbook away from the protective position against his chest, considering. People usually make fun of my drawings. Memories from middle school plague his mind, the teasing that wasn't really teasing but more verbal fire, being cornered after school. Well, that's stupid, Sho tells him, reaching a hand across the table, and Izuku places his sketchbook tentatively into his waiting palm. Oh, really? You think so? Izuku laughs, a nervous habit. Back then my drawings weren't too great anyways, so I guess it was called for. No, it wasn't, no matter how supposedly bad your art is, Sho says, and Izuku watches nervously as he starts flipping through the pages. Midoriya, Sho breathes, tilting his head and blinking elegantly as he turns the page. Why yeah? Sho looks up at Izuku, his eyes shining in the sunlight streaming through the window, making his gray eye look like stardust and his white lashes glow. These are incredible. Izuku ducks his head down. It's not that much really, I just dash. You're selling yourself short, Sho tells him simply. Your art is really incredible, Midoriya. Thank you, Sho. I'm just telling the truth, Sho responds, and Izuku looks up just in time to catch his lips turning up in a small smile. The next few days fly by, with Shudo escaping his busy schedules at the cafe. Every single time, Midoriya greets him without fail. He puts on a gleaming smile that brightens Shudo's day. And every single time, ever since Midoriya showed Shudo his amazing drawings, Midoriya has a new drink prepared that somehow always fits Shudo's tastes. At first Midoriya had insisted that he didn't need to pay, which made Shudo raise an eyebrow, because that's definitely not legal. They always get into a mini fight at the cash register over if Shudo should pay or not, and Shudo finds himself pleased with the fact that he wins most of their squabbles. Even if Shudo can't stop writing about Midoriya and has a newfound inability to create unique lyrics, he thinks that if he just gets to see his smile in his life, it's all worth it. Do you think he'd like mint? Izuku ponders aloud to Ida, taking notes of his ideas in his notebook on the side of a sketch he'd been working on. He already has a couple ideas down. Caramel syrup, maybe, perhaps chocolate flavoring, but for some reason the idea of mint fits the image of Sho that Izuku has in his mind. It doesn't make too much sense, honestly. Sho wears an eye patch and a beanie that covers half his features, comes in with what Uraraka calls rich e-boy fashion and silver chains. Izuku thinks that Sho should give him cinnamon vibes or dark chocolate vibes, but after spending more time with him he's discovered that mint just clicks in his mind with Sho. I think Sho would like mint, Izuku says, nodding to himself and writing down the sentence. I'm not sure if he would like mint, Midoriya-san, but I think Sho-san is a respectable person and would enjoy whatever you make for him. Ida waves his hands sporadically while trying to wipe down one of the blenders. Usually Ida stays in the back doing paperwork and maintaining the behind the scenes of the cafe, like handling calls and complaints and taxes. But occasionally, if Uraraka's running late because of the trains or traffic, he comes up front to help out with setting up. I think he'd like mint, Izuku repeats to himself. He seems like a mint type of guy. Right. I don't know who you're talking about, I haven't met this Sho figure just yet. Yeah, okay. Izuku scribbles something in his notebook before settling on a proper drink. But that's too sweet. I don't think he likes sweet things. Maybe I'll just make him an iced coffee and add mint syrup? Oh, I could add chocolate to it too. I think he likes chocolate. You're very invested in this, Midoriya-san, Ida says from across the bar, voice slightly muffled as he bends down to wipe the bottom of the counter. And this is all for one customer? Yes, Izuku answers half-heartedly, getting started on drafting a cinnamon-based drink for the next day. It seems that you have some romantic interest for this Sho individual, Ida comments. Yes, Izuku answers while debating whether Sho would enjoy whipped cream, not fully registering Ida's words. Then he almost drops his pencil and sketchbook, yelping, I mean no. I don't have any romantic interest, or whatever, I just really enjoy his company. The bell rings, and Izuku looks up with burning cheeks to see Uraraka walk in with a light jacket. It's not as cold today as it was in the past few days. You just enjoy his company? Uraraka asks curiously, seeming to have caught the tail end of their conversation. Somehow, she knows exactly who they're talking about, which should tell Izuku a bit about his crush. Why yes, Izuku responds. Izuku tries to convey with his eyes for backup. You definitely do, Uraraka says, and she walks over to them while unzipping her jacket. Izuku feels a sense of relief fill him, knowing that someone else understands how he feels. Then Uraraka says, but you also enjoy his hair and his arms and his thighs dash. Betrayal. Uraraka. Izuku exclaims, this time actually dropping his sketchbook and pencil. That is the first thing you say to me, how could you dash? Ida frowns. Midoriya-san, it's not healthy to lie about your feelings. And good morning, Uraraka-san. Good morning, Ida-kun, Uraraka calls as she makes her way to the back room to hang up her coat. And yeah, Deku-kun, it's not healthy to lie about your feelings. Oh my god, you two are so embarrassing, Izuku mutters, bending down to pick up his fallen sketchbook. He brushes off the pages, smoothing over some of the bent corners, setting the black book on the counter so that it's safe. The clock suddenly shrills, telling Izuku that work hours have officially started. They would have their first customers within a few minutes. Online orders had already come in. But then, not even a minute after the alarm, the bell tingles. Hello, welcome to Plus Ultra Brews Dash. Izuku looks up from his position by the counter, and he brightens when he spots a familiar beanie and eye patch. Oh hello, Sho. Hey, Sho greets him, stepping up to the counter. The warmer day has allowed Sho to abandon his heavy coat, and Izuku finally understands what Uraraka means by rich e-boy fashion. Sho's wearing a fully black outfit, featuring a dark turtleneck, that clings to his body in a way that Izuku should not think about at work, with a loose blazer and ripped black high-waisted jeans that are held up by a shining silver belt. He has chains around his neck too, and Izuku spots a bracelet or two on Sho's wrists when he waves. Hi, Izuku says, praying to not mess this up. Do you have another drink of recommendation for me today? Sho asks in a warm tone. Why yeah. Izuku says, tapping his fingers on the table. What do you think about mint? Sho responds, and he puts a hand to his beanie to straighten it. A strand of red hair falls loose on his left, and Izuku tracks the movement. So he does have hair. I think mint is fine, Sho says, and he smiles. Slightly. He's been doing that more often, the smiling. Not that Izuku's complaining. Great, Izuku says, and he prepares himself for the same argument they have every single day. You can make your way to the left to wait for your order. I haven't paid though, Sho says, his lips quirked up in amusement. Izuku gets an immense sense of déjà vu to their first conversation, which he decisively does not want to think about because that was a disaster that he doesn't ever want to relive. It's on the house, sir, Izuku adds teasingly. Nope. I'm going to pay and you can't stop me. Izuku crosses his arms with a smirk. Well, too bad, you can't pay until I allow you to. I have cash on me, I could just slide it over. You can't stop me from paying you, Midoriya. But I could just pay you back, Izuku points out. You can't stop me from giving you money either. I could just give you money and never come back again. How are you going to find me then? Sho says, crossing his arms to mirror Izuku's stance. Well, you're still going to be in the shop for the next few minutes, Izuku says. I could just sneakily pay you back in that time, and you wouldn't even know it. Then I'll just be extra careful, Sho says. Now that I know you'll try and sneak my money back to me, I'll just watch out for you. You severely underestimate me, Sho. I think you severely overestimate yourself, Midoriya. With that, they're stuck in a stalemate. This happens from time to time, and in some instances Sho decides to give up and other times Izuku is forced to let Sho pay so that the line of customers that form behind them don't get too frustrated. What is this I hear about not paying? Ida says suddenly, manifesting at Izuku's side. Minute. Your barista here isn't letting me pay, Sho says, with a purposeful type of innocence that makes Izuku roll his eyes. Well, that's quite a predicament. Ida exclaims, whipping around on Izuku, who cowers back to avoid getting smacked while sending a glare at Sho. You know it's against the laws to let your customers leave without paying. It's like an anti-robbery, Uraraka adds. Yeah, Izuku mumbles. He punches in the drink he has in mind, Ida watching his movements carefully, and then he sighs in defeat. That'll be 300 yen. Thank you, Sho says, his lips slightly tilting upwards. He slides his card, and when the receipt prints, Izuku hands it to him. Ida and Izuku watch him settle at one of the seats right in front of the bar, taking out a notepad and a laptop. Ida pulls him aside, whispering in his ear, I can understand why you have a romantic interest for Sho, Midoriya. He is certainly quite an attractive individual. In lieu of response, Izuku sputters a yeah, and then he makes his way over to the mint syrups with a burning face that Sho hopefully doesn't question. Why do you always play entropy songs? Sho asks by his seat at the bar, sipping from his improvised mint iced coffee that has just a dash of chocolate flavor. It's just after the morning rush hour, and today Sho has stayed longer than any other day. He's been here for a good 2 hours, And it really doesn't help Izuku's heart that he also just happens to sit at the seat closest to Izuku's workspace. The cafe has settled into the ambient hours, the bustle dying down into a mellow hum. Well, I think his songs are pretty good. Sho pauses at this, his pen frozen on the paper he's writing on, and he slowly places his cup back on the counter with a quiet tap. But you don't even play his songs. Most of the time it's just covers by him. I guess that I like his voice then, Izuku responds. I mean, it's a bit embarrassing, but I'm really inspired by his music. At this, Sho looks up, one sleek white eyebrow raising. Izuku knows he has red hair too though, maybe his hair is red and his eyebrows are white. Izuku pushes aside his musings to actually answer the unasked question. I mean, I found his music in some tougher times. Like, tough for an artist because I really didn't have any ideas at the time, and then he released his first album, and I just had a burst of inspiration, I guess. Sho just blinks at him, and Izuku keeps talking just to avoid the silence that will be awkward. I would consider myself a fan, I guess? But it's not like I obsess over his movements on Twitter, I'm not like a stalker or anything, I just think I'm really into his music, and he has a new album coming out soon and everything. He just really sparked a lot of things in me, I guess. Sho says, blinking down at his paper and then looking back up at Izuku. Can I see the sketches that were inspired by his work? Oh! Izuku exclaims, leaning back from where he was leaning on the counter like he'd been burned. Why, sure. Just, let me go get it. You don't have to wait long, it's just, right here. With wobbling knees and a heart beating much too fast to be healthy, Izuku strides to the counter against the back wall and grabbles for his sketchbook. As soon as he grabs it, he stumbles back to Sho's place at the bar, and he hands the pages to him. It's the page with the post, Izuku says, and he watches with nervous eyes as Sho flips through the pages until he gets to the marked place. When Sho sees the drawings, Izuku has to look away. Those drawings were from 2 years ago, and that was when he wasn't too amazing at drawing, he hadn't understood many of the things that Izuku understands now, and it's a section of his sketchbook that he hasn't torn out because it's based on Entropy's songs and he'd honestly like to keep those. They're not too good, I can do a lot better now. This is beautiful, Sho breathes, and Izuku shoots his gaze back up. Oh! Izuku yelps, rubbing the back of his neck and looking away from Sho's wide eyes. As I said before, I can do a lot better now, and my technique isn't as refined in those drawings. No, Sho says, flipping to the next page. You captured everything that I dash. Sho catches himself suddenly, stuttering in a way that Izuku has never seen before. From what I've heard of Entropy's songs, these drawings capture everything that he wanted to express. Izuku knows exactly what's on that page. It's a myriad of several different images, all from one song, some of them from the past but a lot of them from the present. They were all made based on Entropy's, quite underrated, in Izuku's opinion, song, Power, and Izuku had spent a good amount of hours just listening to it on. There's a few reappearing images on that spread, some of forests, sunrises, looping walls and infinite spiral staircases, a lot of fire, and some ice. Izuku wants to do a large piece on it sometime, but as of now he's never exactly found the chance. Oh, that's dash. Izuku tries to search for the words. I really like his one song called Power, which is really underrated in my opinion, and I listened to it on loop for a really long time while drawing. Some of those are from years ago, and I drew that one with the fire just 2 days ago. I've heard that song of his, Sho says, looking slightly troubled. But, that was one of his earlier works, which were a bit lackluster, right? Izuku says, really thinking through the statement. Then he purses his lips, frowning slightly. I don't think so. Obviously the production quality is lower compared to his amazing songs now, but I think that even if he didn't mean to put meaning into his songs he subconsciously did. Sho doesn't respond, so Izuku just continues. In the end, the song is still his, and perhaps even if he purposely tried to make his songs meaningless, that would still hold meaning, the meaning of being useless, that is. Sho keeps staring at Izuku, so he keeps rambling. And if he accidentally made his songs meaningless, then they had a meaning in the first place. So I don't think it's exactly lackluster. Sho says yet again. I guess you're right. I've never thought of it that way. Izuku smiles in response. I'm glad I could change your mind. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. Paragon drops in 2 weeks with 11 total songs. Thank you for all your continued support. 4,372 retweets, 23,457 likes. 245 aim January XX. Endeavor Studios heavy checkmark at Endeavor_music. At T_, we're all looking forward to the #Entropy album. Keep up the amazing work, #Entropy. 2003 retweets, 18,002 likes. 701 in January XX. I'm Paragon at Hastelator. At T_, I am so hype. And 11 songs? Ugh, they're going to be so good at Ulkstva. 57 retweets, 223 likes. 805 in January XX. Time travel must be invented at Heya. At T_, I just know the album is gonna be good. Entropy's music is something else, y'all. 9 retweets, 53 likes. 832 aim January XX. Bernard at host 12324. At Heya, it makes me very happy knowing how far he's come from his debut days. 2 retweets, 45 likes. 915 aim January XX. Still not over the iced coffee at Mug here. At T_, why were you awake at 2:45 a.m.? Don't overwork yourself, honey, please take care and stay hydrated. 76 retweets, 800 likes. 918 aim January XX. 2 weeks 2, at user_name 13632. The trailer, anyone seen the #Paragon trailer yet? Look at the trailer of the #Entropy album Astadea, it looks so good, please help, I'm gonna piece it the fuck out. 1,234 retweets, 5,029 likes. 1030 aim January XX. Them. At Entrope. Guys, oh my god, these visuals. INDS LKFJJ LKDF. SDF, are you kidding me? This is? The aesthetic, it's so soft, so different from Entropy's typical ice-cold sheet, y'all know what I mean. #Entropy album, #Paragon trailer. Image attached. Vocalist Entropy is wearing a baggy blue sweater with cuffed sleeves and with cream-colored high-waisted canvas pants held up by a black belt. He carries a brown bag around his shoulders as he balances precariously on a railing, and his red and white hair is slightly ruffled. The golden sunlight shines onto his features, making his mismatched eyes glow brilliantly. 348 retweets, 2,353 likes. 1041 aim January XX. Pretty boi swag at Entropy_supremacy_cult. This? Oh my god, he looks so smoffed. #Paragon trailer, #Entropy, #Entropy album. Image attached. Entropy wears a pastel green button-up that is unbuttoned to his chest, letting a gold circlet glint into the camera from his collarbones. The sleeves of the shirt are a bit too long, and the rose that he clutches in his hands are smothered by the excessive fabric. His jeans are white, and his shoes are also white but with red soles. It matches with his hair beautifully, and Entropy stares into the distance where the sun is setting into a dark navy night. 31 retweets, 100 likes. 1102 aim January XX. Scram at Loudy_me. Fluffy, I went to Pathamonthi head. #Entropy album, #Entropy, #Paragon trailer. GIF attached. It's a small snippet from the Paragon trailer. Entropy's hair blows dramatically in some artificial wind, the strands mixing slightly, and a small smile is growing on his face. 243 retweets, 3,567 likes. 1106 a January XX. George. Atekia 123124. Okay, I get y'all are talking about #Entropy in soft sheet, but can we appreciate this hardcore frame? The album has passed the vibe check. #Entropy album, #Paragon trailer. Image attached. Entropy is wearing a shiny orange jumpsuit, and the way the light reflects off it makes it seem like it's made of plastic. The collar is open, and a black turtleneck slips into view with a shining silver chain glinting in the camera's view. Entropy himself is clutching a ukulele painted black and sitting on a bench outdoors that is surrounded by raging fires. 222 retweets, 3,890 likes. 11:18 January XX. Blue purple pink bitches at itaintnally. At Tekia 123124 you could say that the music videos are looking pretty fire. 23 retweets, 530 likes. 11:20 January XX. George. At Tekia 123124. At itaintnally I hate you. 0 retweets, 120 likes. 11:24 January XX. Is this heaven? At Yuwawawu. But did y'all hear the music in the BG of the hashtag Paragon trailer? It's so high tier. I think this'll be Entropy's best album yet. He better win some awards for this sheet BC. It sounds like he'll fucking deserve it. Hashtag Entropy album. 290 retweets, 789 likes. 11:25 a.m. January XX. 1976 at boom_. I would actually like his music videos if Entropy learned to cover up his ugly scar or whatever that is. 0 retweets, 1 likes. 11:34 January XX. George. At Tekia 123124. At boom_. Entropy looks better than your frat boy looking but with his ugly scar, STFU. Choose a better PFP before you diss idols. LMFAO. 123 retweets, 678 likes. 11:36 a.m. January XX. George. At Tekia 123124. Braum for this man salter than the Pacific. Image attached. A screenshot of at Tekia 123124's screen. It's in the Twitter app, and it reads, at boom_blocked you. You are blocked from following at boom_ and viewing at boom_'s tweets. 21 retweets, 264 likes. 11:40 January XX. Shudo is at plus ultra brews, which seems to be a routine thing for him now. He hasn't been as busy in the past few days since a majority of the work for the album had been done in the 4 days where his father had forced him into the studio and worked him to the bone. Everything for the album has been prepared other than the cover art. He'd gotten 13 emails from Akira all about the situation, about how Shudo's father is throwing a fit and how his editors are similarly spiraling, and the emails had been full of punctuated sentences like, get the album done you walking fire tornado. And your father is going sicko mode in my office, please get an artist ASAP. But honestly, Shudo doesn't really care. He feels like he should. He feels like he should be in the same state of panic that the rest of his staff seems to be in, but he finds that every single time he steps into plus ultra brews and every single time he sees Midoriya's brilliant smile, all of it fades away. And by all of it, Shudo really does mean all of it, including his songwriting skills and his lyrical writing and any other topic other than green and coffee. It's getting rather annoying, quite honestly. His father expects at least 4 new songs by next month. And Shudo is stuck in this chair at a cafe watching the barista who'd almost ruined his order just a week ago. The barista, who he is now finding, is extremely attractive. Midoriya has bouncy green curls that wobble a bit with every movement, like grass in strong wind. It looks soft, Shudo thinks, scribbling in his notepad but yet again not really paying attention to what he's actually writing. Midoriya is also ripped. That's something else that Shudo has observed. One day he'd come in before opening time at around 5:25 in the morning and watch through the windows as Midoriya effortlessly lifted 6 huge boxes that his manager, his name is Ida, Shudo remembers, himself had struggled to carry. Shudo has absolutely no doubt that under the uniform and apron, Midoriya is at least 90% pure muscle mass. The thought should not be as time-consuming as it is. But Shudo isn't only enraptured by Midoriya's physical appearance. Shudo finds that he lingers on Midoriya's laughter, his mindless yet endearing rambling, and his nervous laughter when Shudo flipped through his sketchbook. And that is another topic that has recently been taking a good space in Shudo's mind: the sketchbook, the drawings, and Midoriya's drawings. Shudo had always hated his first few songs. They were heavily influenced by his father, all the words written by NG's songwriters. The only thing that was really Shudo's, or Entropy's, was the voice and the melody that Shudo had written without much effort. It wasn't his song. It wasn't Shudo's song. It was completely and utterly Todoroki Enji's. But even still, Shudo remembers sobbing into the words on the paper, reading the lyrics over and trying to piece together a meaning that would make him feel better, sometimes just writing tunes and not acknowledging the meaning at all. He'd twisted the words in his head. His father wrote this, but Shudo sang that. His father meant this, but Shudo meant that. Sometimes Shudo meant nothing at all, until all Shudo's music were spirals and spirals of twisted vines stuck with thorns winding out of Shudo's throat in breathy notes that he swore to never think about again. In the end, the song is still his, and perhaps even if he purposely tried to make his songs meaningless, that would still hold meaning, the meaning of being useless, that is. The words had made Shudo, in the most blunt words possible, reconsider his whole entire life. He'd always considered the song to be meaningless, one of the many songs he'd not quite written and one of the many tracks that Shudo would like to burn and never think about again. But then, with Midoriya's sketches and his words, Shudo finds himself thinking that maybe it's not as useless as a song as it really is. There's no reason that Shudo shouldn't think about the songs, honestly. It's petty and it's stupid to not respect his own work just because of his father. But he's been living like that his whole life, and doing the opposite sounds like a far-fetched prospect. Shudo sighs, his hands still writing subconsciously. He glances up at Midoriya, who's humming to one of Shudo's songs. It's the 15th track in his last album, one that Shudo had written himself and had actual fun with. Midoriya shuffles backwards smoothly, snatching a cup and filling it with ice before sliding to the cold brew machine and placing the container under the liquid. He flicks up the switch on the downbeat of the music, and Shudo smiles lightly, slipping his headphones back on. Shudo looks down at his writing. "Your curls are vines, you're my lifeline, brew me something sweet, will you?" Shudo grumbles in frustration yet again, and he turns around his pencil to prepare to erase the lyrics. But before he can, someone taps him on his shoulder. "Sho!" Midoriya says, and Shudo slips his headphones down to his neck, careful not to jostle his eye patch or his beanie. He also discreetly closes his notepad, making sure that Midoriya can't see the lyrics he wrote. "Yes, Midoriya?" Midoriya shoves a small sample cup into his hands, the paper slightly moist from the cheap material. Shudo blinks down at it curiously. "What's this?" Shudo says, lifting the liquid up to his nose to take a whiff of the scent. Cinnamon rushes into his senses, with a bit of something else behind the strong aroma. Midoriya looks a little nervous, his hands wrung in front of his sternum. "You remember the conversation we had yesterday?" Shudo thinks back a little bit and then he nods. "About the cinnamon?" "Yes." "Well, you said that you like cinnamon and you also said you like sweet things, so I just—" Midoriya waves his hands around, gesturing wildly at Shudo. "I just, tested some things." "Oh," Shudo says. He holds up the sample cup. "Is that what this is?" "Why yeah," Midoriya says. Shudo nods once, and then he takes a tentative sip of the drink. It's ice cold, just like he likes his coffee, with a strong but not overwhelming taste of cinnamon but also an aftertaste of vanilla and coconut, maybe even some caramel in there. Shudo sets the cup down, liking his lips. Midoriya watches him, and then Shudo says, "It's really good." Midoriya immediately brightens, straightening up and bouncing on his feet behind the counter. "I'm glad, Sho." Midoriya takes the cup back, disposing it in the trash. "I'll make it for you next time. For free." "No, I'm still paying," Shudo responds. We'll see about that," Midoriya says. Shudo spends the next few seconds simply observing Midoriya, his freckles. There's 4 of them on each cheek. Shudo didn't even know that was possible. His eyes. Shudo thinks that Midoriya's lashes are green too, now that he's looking closely, which are a deep green at the middle but electric around the edges. "Deku-kun." Midoriya jolts, and Shudo does too. He hadn't even realized they were leaning closer together, but now that he does, Shudo hastily leans back to a position that could be interpreted as normal. The other barista, Uraraka, if Shudo remembers correctly, bounces up to Midoriya, and she says, "Deku-kun, you can't just leave me all alone to do the work. I'm gonna get Ida to give me a raise if you spend all your time flirting." Midoriya turns a shade of red that Shudo hadn't known existed. FFL dash. "Come on, do the online orders dash." And with that, Midoriya leaves Shudo at his place, and Shudo lets out a sigh of relief. If Midoriya had stayed for any longer, Shudo probably would have burst into flames, and he has a feeling that compulsory combustion would not be appreciated by the staff of Plus Ultra Brews. Shudo slips his headphones on again just as another one of his old songs comes up. He's able to avoid most of the intro, but the start of the verse and the sound of his own droning voice makes him cringe. When he escapes into the nothingness of his noise-canceling headset, he sighs in relief, and he pulls his notepad out again. The words stare back at him. Your curls are vines, you're my lifeline, brew me something sweet, will you? Shudo raises his pencil again, the eraser pointed towards the paper. But right before the rubber hits the page he looks up at Midoriya. Strong, kind, wonderful Midoriya. Midoriya who smiles at the wee hours of the morning, grin rising with the brilliance of the sun, Midoriya who blushes while handing Shudo his drink, Midoriya who tries his hardest to not get Shudo to pay. Midoriya who lifts stacks of chairs while belting lyrics to Entropy's, Shudo's, songs, Midoriya who saunters around the cafe with ease and wonder. Midoriya who draws. Midoriya who speaks to Shudo about things he doesn't even know about, Midoriya who has changed Shudo's life. Shudo looks back down at his paper, at the words. Your curls are vines, you're my lifeline, brew me something sweet, will you? Shudo flips his pencil around and continues writing. When his next lyrics are all about ferns, emeralds, and cinnamon vanilla caramel rainstorms with crackling electricity, Shudo finds that he means to write it. Midoriya, Sho asks one day from his now reserved spot by the bar. It's the closest seat to Izuku, and at this point Izuku thinks he should be worrying about finding insurance so that his imminent death by heart attack would at least be covered. It's the day after Izuku had made the cinnamon-based drink for Sho, after the terribly embarrassing exchange between them that thankfully hadn't strained their relationship. Izuku's been feeling rather proud of himself lately. He'd convinced Sho to not pay for his drink this time, after a good 10 minutes of squabbling fondly at the register. Yeah, Sho. I need your help with something. Izuku blinks, setting down the metal steamer cup that he was drying off. He walks over to Sho's seat, wiping his hands on his apron and discarding the cloth on the way. What is it? So I have this. Sho trails off suddenly, like he's considering something. He opens his mouth once, then he snaps it shut, and then he speaks. I have a project I'm working on. Sho starts, and Izuku nods in understanding. I'm not sure if I should add this one part that I just made. Izuku notices that with the words, Sho clutches his notepad a bit closer to his chest in an adorably self-conscious way, and Izuku appreciates the blossoming pink that spreads from the tip of his nose up to his ears. And, well, I think you would know, since you're an artist and all, you seem rather experienced with that type of thing, so I thought I'd just ask for your help. Sho tugs a little at his eye patch, a nervous habit, Izuku has observed, and he can't meet Izuku's gaze. Well, Izuku starts. Does this extra bit have importance to you? Sho's hands fiddle slightly with the corners of the pages on his notepad, and Izuku watches as his face subtly flashes between multiple emotions. I guess it does, Sho finally finishes. Well then, I think you should include it, Izuku says. I've had a lot of things in my drawings that makes it difficult to decipher. A lot of the times I just put whatever comes to mind down. Then I choose the most important ones, and so if this is important to you I think you should keep it. Sho picks up his drink, the one that Izuku had tested yesterday, and he takes a long, thoughtful sip from it. I guess you're right, Sho says, and he finally looks up at Izuku. He lets a small, rare smile spread across his face, and Izuku feels the terrifying urge to pinch Sho's cheeks. Izuku nods to him. If you ever need help with your project again, don't be afraid to ask. Thank you, Midoriya. Anytime, Sho. Izuku watches as Sho slips his headphones back on, opening his notepad again and scribbling furiously on the pages. Addition to Paragon. Todoroki Shuto at EndeavorStudios.org 11:59 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Fukudakira at EndeavorStudios.org. I'm planning to add another track to the album. Am I allowed to do that? Todoroki Shuto. Addition to Paragon. Fukudakira at EndeavorStudios.org 12:03 m, 0 minutes ago. To todorokishudo@endeavorstudios.org. Why are you adding songs this late? We have so little time. Okay. Look, you're an icon and I'm sure your fans will forgive you or whatever. Maybe they'll actually appreciate you for more content, but your team is already in a frenzy because you still don't have your album art. Todoroki-san. I'm going to go email your father about a raise if you keep doing this. What the F dash? Fukuda Akira. Addition to Paragon. Todorokishudo@endeavorstudios.org 12:06 a.m. 0 minutes ago. To fukudakira@endeavorstudios.org. Is that a no? Please stop type screaming at me. Todoroki Shudo. Addition to Paragon. Fukudakira@endeavorstudios.org 12:10 a.m. 0 minutes ago. To todorokishudo@endeavorstudios.org. I'll try my best to organize this. But you still don't have your cover art decided? Please do that. With exasperated. 30. Fukuda Akira. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. Paragon will have another additional song. The final album will have an updated 12 tracks. Thank you for understanding. 3,092 retweets, 23,457 likes. 309 m January XX. Fukuda Akira, I'm the manager who needs a raise heavy checkmark at Akira_studios. _, why were you still awake at 3 in the morning? Please go to sleep. 1,098 retweets, 10,928 likes. 710 m January XX. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. At Akira_studios, I can and will fire you, don't test me. 1,888 retweets, 11,324 likes. 748 January XX. Fukuda Akira, I'm the manager who needs a raise heavy checkmark at Akira_studios. At I have done nothing but care about you, Entropy. I'm burning with rage and hurt. 2,098 retweets, 7,545 likes. 7:45 a.m. January XX. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. At Akira_studios, good, smiley face. 4,038 retweets, 18,274 likes. 7:48 January XX. Hey at hike_w. 0 retweets, 43 likes. 7:47 a.m. January XX. Hey at hike_. At Akira_studios did Entropy just use an emoji? And write an unpunctuated sentence? What kind of character development happened while I was gone? 219 retweets, 678 likes. 7:47 a.m. January XX. And I mean, his new album looks so great. Honestly, you've seen the visuals from tweets, right? It made it onto trending like 2 times, and I heard from some of my friends that don't even search for Entropy saw that posts related to Paragon, that's his new album, made their way into their feed anyways. It was just that popular. But really, from listening to just some of the riffs in the trailer, I can already tell it'll be amazing. Sho has his headphones slipped off in front of him, sipping from his basic iced coffee and wearing a blue-themed outfit today. Izuku's on break. It's rare that Sho's visiting schedule matches up with Izuku's rest hour, so Izuku's trying to spend his time wisely. A lot of these moments are spent with Izuku doing most of the talking, and Sho sipping at his coffee and listening intently. The past few topics have been sporadic. 4 days ago it was about Izuku's recent art commission, 2 days ago it was about coffee, 7 days ago it was about cinnamon. And today, it's about Entropy. Strangely enough, it also seems to be the one topic that Sho doesn't show immediate interest in. From previous interactions, Izuku has a sneaking suspicion that Sho isn't the biggest fan of Entropy. After all, he had called his previous songs lackluster, which Izuku disagreed and disagrees with, but other than that Sho doesn't seem to have hatred for Entropy. If that makes sense. Sho doesn't look bored, or anything, he just looks uncomfortable. And slightly flustered. Honestly, his music is amazing. I really hope that this album gets the recognition it deserves. Izuku continues, and Sho sets his cup down while his face dusts in a cherry red. Izuku wants to coo at the gesture, but instead he continues talking. I really love his voice too. It's very versatile and it can do a lot of things. Plus, after listening to some of his past songs, you can really tell how his singing improved. It's very admirable. Sho covers his face in his hands, looking anywhere but Izuku, his iced coffee left forgotten on the table. Sho. Izuku asks, a tad bit concerned. Are you alright? Sho's voice is choked slightly, and he clears his throat and straightens up. I think Entropy would appreciate you saying all that about him. I hope someday I can tell him, Izuku answers back honestly. His music has done a lot for me. It found me in a hard place and really got me out of there. I'm really thankful for everything he's done. Sho looks a bit more placated by this, and the color fades from his cheeks into a small but blinding smile. You've done a lot for me. Sho stops very suddenly, but then he backtracks. I think you've done a lot for Entropy too. From just supporting his music and everything. Well, of course, Midoriya responds and he grins. It releases in a week, Todoroki-san. You have to get the album art now, so that your editors can put it all together ahead of time. I know, Shudo mumbles from his seat, and he trains his eyes on the floor. Usually you're very quick about these things, Akira says, and they lean slightly forward. I'm not quite sure why you're having trouble now. Shudo doesn't respond. The thing about Paragon is that it now has, well, meaning. Shudo, with his past albums, had never really considered what he wanted to say. He was just making songs, following whatever his father set up for him, hiring an artist, and then just going with whatever they made. Even after Shudo managed to get away from his father, well, not get away, but with the help of Akira he had managed to actually write his own songs. Album art hasn't been too important to Shudo. It was another part of the release, a step in the process, and Shudo didn't care for it as much as he did with the songs. But now, after seeing Midoriya's art, he finds that he cares. A lot. Because this album has meaning. Paragon represents something in every way, and Shudo finds that for the first time in his career he cares about what the album art tells viewers, that it's done right, that the details are perfect so that everything makes sense. All of the samples that Shudo had been given so far just don't match up to that. They're all bland, not eccentric enough. There should be more green there, maybe something coffee-themed, whatever. Shudo is being unnecessarily nitpicky with this, or at least a lot more nitpicky than he's ever been before. But seriously, Akira says, and they lean back and cross their arms. What's up? Shudo stills for a second or two, thinking, and then he looks up, meeting Akira's gaze. You know the song that I added? Yeah. Shudo bites his lip. It's important. Well, yeah, obviously, it's part of the album. To me, it's important to me. Akira stops speaking, blinking. Then they lean forward, staring at Shudo incredulously. Wow. I haven't heard you say that, ever. What's it about? Shudo thinks of green. Shudo thinks of slightly tanned skin. Shudo thinks of a smile. Shudo thinks of a man in a back apron with a name tag pinned to the top right, sun framing his soft features and freckled cheeks. Shudo thinks of Midoriya. Unwillingly, a blush spreads over Shudo's cheeks, and he covers his face with a palm to hide it, looking away. Unfortunately, Akira catches it, and they practically jump in their seat. Oh! Akira says, throwing their hands in the air. Oh my God! You're in love. It's a love song. It's not, Shudo grumbles half-heartedly, but when he thinks of emeralds, iced coffee, cinnamon, he flushes harder. The cold, infamously apathetic pop idol and rising star Entropy, 22 years old and suffering from a crush. This is spectacular. Absolutely amazing. Game-changing. Akira giggles, and they wave a hand at their face to calm themselves. Then they seem to realize something, and they calm down strikingly fast. So, Akira whispers, "Who is it?" Shudo thinks Midoriya. No one, Shudo responds. Oh, come on. Akira says, and the sudden loudness makes Shudo jolt. Give me a hint, at least. Do I know her? Shudo supposes that with all his father's talk of marrying a woman with power in the industry, many have assumed him to be straight. But he has to tell Akira at some point, so... That him, Shudo corrects, his face still burning. Silence washes over them. Then Shudo looks up at Akira, a little wary. Did you read over the lyrics? Another reason for why the song is important is, well, I guess I'm coming out to my audience through it. I use a lot of masculine pronouns. Akira stares at Sho, and then their features slowly tilt up in a brilliant grin. Oh, Todoroki-sen, you wonderful gay icon. You're going to change the world, you know? Imagine the media's reaction. Entropy, number 5 in the charts, coming out as gay in his most recent album because of a crush on someone. Shudo nods, looking away, happy with himself. He'd left his father's overbearing section of the company. He's coming out as gay. He met Midoriya. The shackles on his wrists feel a little less tight. I'm so proud of you, Todoroki-san, Akira continues. Then they slip back into a more relaxed position. So, do I know him? Shudo sags a little, not answering for a few seconds. Green, coffee, vanilla. Then he says, no. You don't. Ah man. Akira sighs, sliding a hand over their face. That makes sense, that it's important to you, but you also need to get album art as soon as possible. Otherwise we can't release your album. Yeah, okay, Shudo says, and he picks up his bags and leaves. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. Paragon drops in 6 days. 2,846 retweets, 11,673 likes. 245 aim January XX. Fukuda Akira, I'm the manager who needs a raise heavy checkmark at Akira_Studios. At T_PO is LEP. 999 retweets, 6,288 likes. 720 aim January XX. Midori. Comms open at det. At T_so 6 days, 6 days, 6 days, 6 days. 3 retweets, 207 likes. 3:25 p.m. January XX. Midori. Comms open at det. Wait, what the? Image attached, a screenshot of Entropy's Twitter profile. Underneath his profile picture it reads, at T_Shudo follows you. 1,837 retweets, 9,276 likes. 3:33 p.m. January XX. Show, oh my god. Midoriya starts, practically jumping into the seat across from Shudo. Taking a final sip from his minty drink, Shudo sets his cup down and slips off his headphones. What happened? You know Entropy? Shudo wants to laugh, but Midoriya is speaking again before he can. Of course you do. I talk about him all the time. But anyways, you won't believe what happened. Shudo sets his pencil down. Oh. Entropy Midoriya sighs, leaning his cheek on his palm dreamily. Followed me on Twitter. He followed me, Sho. Really? Shudo asks, feigning incredulity. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. Midoriya says, tugging at his hair. It is pretty amazing. I don't even know why. I mean, now that I'm really thinking about it, maybe he just accidentally clicked the follow button. Shudo knows that isn't true though, because he'd made sure to very purposefully and carefully tap the follow button on Midoriya's profile. Well, what do you post about? Shudo asks conversationally. Midoriya looks shy. Just my drawings and whatnot. Your drawings are inspired a lot by Entropy's songs, right? Yeah. So he probably saw your drawings, saw how they were inspired by his music, and then followed you. Midoriya sputters, waving his hands in the air frantically. There's no way. My drawings aren't that good, Sho. You've got it all messed up. Besides, why would he click on my profile in the first place? Shudo smiles slightly. Luck, perhaps. Reminder. Fukuda Akira at endeavorstudios.org 11:03 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Todoroki Shudo at endeavorstudios.org. Todoroki-san, please get the cover art to us ASAP. Your team is about to have a meltdown. Including me. There's only 5 days until the release. Reminder. Fukuda Akira at endeavorstudios.org 11:10 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Todoroki Shudo at endeavorstudios.org. Also, your father is being AD again. He's scheduled a meeting with you tomorrow. Please get there on time, and if you need me, just mew. You're late, his father says as soon as Shudo steps into the room. Shudo just ducks his head, looking at the floor. If he talks back, then that'll just cause more issues that Shudo quite frankly does not want to deal with right now. My apologies, father. I was caught up. Enji grunts back. Shudo sits down in the chair, back straight and hands clasped neatly in his lap. He hasn't been in this room since the day he told his father he would start a different branch at Endeavor Productions. That day had been one of the most freeing and yet stressful of his life. But Shudo thinks that maybe today will top that. Shudo's father slams his fist on the desk, and the clatter of a pen falling to the tiled floor makes Shudo flinch. I've raised you better than this, Enji spits, and the room feels stuffy and too small. I read over your last song, Sun Dash. The tune of Brew Me Something Sweet, will you? Flashes in and out of Shudo's mind like a whip. And you're telling me now that you're gay? The anger in Enji's voice is suffocating. Shudo feels like he's 20 again, a rising vocalist, being screamed at and beaten by his father in the studio. Sing better, dance better, work out more, failure. But this time, Shudo knows that he's not alone. He has Akira, his team, his hardworking staff. He has songs and memories and thoughts and feelings, and he has freedom. He has Midoriya. Yes, Shudo says, tone flat. I'm gay. What about it? You insolent dash. Shudo's father stands up from the desk, towering over Shudo, who clenches to the armrests of his stiff wooden chair like a lifeline. You insolent brat. I didn't raise you to turn out like this. You didn't raise me, Shudo says firmly. You trapped me. Fuyumi was more of a parent than you. Enji growls, like crackling fire breaking through the infrastructure of a building. And despite everything, Mother was a better parent than you. The building topples. Ray burnt you. Enji bellows, slamming his palms against the hardwood of his desk. Ray ruined you. Ray made you weak and unsightly. The word might as well be a brand, and Shudo's fingers twitch. He feels rage through him, not an unfamiliar feeling, but not pleasant either. Your PR is already terrible enough with that deformity of yours, Enji says, scowling. We don't need another blow. You will take that song off your album. You will not release it. I'll give you until the day before the drop date, Shudo. The words hurt. They always hurt no matter what. But this time, it feels like there's a shield, because Shudo knows what being released from a cage feels like. Shudo knows the warmth of a smile brighter than the sun and coffee the taste of cinnamon and care. Shudo knows this time that he is not alone. But still, Shudo stays quiet, just staring defiantly up at his father. They have a few seconds of threateningly staring at each other before Enji scoffs and waves him away like a bug. Now go. You're dismissed. Izuku steps back behind the counter, grinning like a madman. You really should just confess to him, Uraraka stage whispers, and Izuku jolts like he'd been shocked. Confess. Izuku squeaks. Confess what? I don't have anything to confess. I don't know what you're talking about. Uraraka just blankly stares at him, unimpressed. Izuku slumps over. Sure, you win. I do have a little crush on him. Uraraka's expression doesn't change other than the minute raise of an eyebrow. Oh, for God's sake, dash. Izuku swipes a hand down his face, and then he yelps, fine. I really FNG like him, okay? But I can't confess, Uraraka. What if he doesn't even like men? Or what if he's just using me for free drinks? He literally argues with you every single day on paying, and most of the time he wins. That's only because he's backed up by the law. If he weren't, I would totally get him to not pay. Alright, whatever you say. Izuku walks over to the sink, picking up one of the towels and wiping the counter next to Uraraka. But my point still stands, I don't think Sho likes me. We're practically strangers. If strangers hang out together and skip work to flirt dash. We are not flirting dash. Then yes, you two are strangers. Uraraka looks fondly exasperated. And seriously, I think he likes you back. Why else would he keep coming back to the shop? Well, if you're going to attack my love life, I'll attack yours. Izuku deflects, not at all subtly. What about Azui dash? Sue, Uraraka corrects, and then she flushes. Oh my god, you're literally on first-name basis. She obviously likes you back. Well, it's the same with you and Sho. He obviously likes you back too, and yet you're still here simping dash. I am not simping dash. And giving him free drinks and pretending that your obviously requited feelings are so obviously unrequited dash. I watched Azui blush at you this morning, don't talk like you're not doing the same thing dash. So you do admit it. See, even you think that you have a chance. And you didn't object to Azui liking you back. So why don't you just confess? They stare each other down, the washcloth lying forlornly on the table. Then, a familiar challenge glints in Uraraka's eyes. Then how about this? She starts, and Izuku looks up with curiosity. If you confess to Sho, I'll confess to Tsu. Izuku blinks owlishly once before letting a manic grin spread up his face. Oh, you're on. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. Paragon drops in 3 days. Thank you for your continued support. 9,987 retweets, 11,673 likes. 9:45 a.m. January XX. One new voice message from Fukuda Akira, XXXXXXXX. 9:23 p.m., 0 minutes ago. Todoroki-san, do you have any ideas for album art yet? I'm in the office and let me tell you, your whole team is freaking out over the fact that you still haven't chosen art. Please send something over soon. Hell, it can be a single line, I'd take it. Get back to me soon. One new voice message from Fukuda Akira, XXXXXXXX. 9:37 p.m., 0 minutes ago. Oh yeah, with your father, how did that go? I hope he wasn't too harsh on you. I know his expectations are a bit high. I'm sorry you have to go through that. And yet again, I know that the album is important to you in more ways than one. But seriously, we need the album art. We can't even put up promos without something selected, so please just choose something, I swear dash. One new voice message from Todoroki NG, XXXXXXXX. 9:40 p.m., 0 minutes ago. Shudo. I expect you to get back to me soon. Don't disappoint me. Delete this message? Yes, heavy checkmark no. Message deleted. Shudo steps into the grocery store, donning some hastily put on clothes and his usual beanie and eye patch. He's pretty sure that in his rush to get out, some of the strands of his hair are peeking out from the hat, but at the moment he doesn't mind. Shudo looks up at the signs indicating the items in the aisles, and at aisle 4 he curves to the right. The message from his father had set him off, to put things simply, and now Shudo is living and moving on spite alone. There's no reason he should be doing this. Shudo knows that confessing won't get him anywhere other than make him feel a tad bit more in control of his life, and it pains him to know that he's using Midoriya for as petty of a reason as that, but Shudo's hands are itching and his eye is burning. Ray made you weak and unsightly. No, Shudo responds, picking up a box of chocolates from the shelf. He hears Midoriya's voice ranting about Shudo's songs, the meaningless messages behind the words, and Shudo tastes sweet and carefully brewed coffee on his tongue. Ray made me strong. Shudo exits the aisle, walking purposefully to the section with cards, and he slows to a halt in front of the options under the label, for your special someone. Shudo scans the different cards, and a green one catches his eye. Without hesitation, Shudo reaches forwards and picks the card from the pocket, along with a pink envelope that is lined with gold. With his items all in hand, Shudo walks to the register. Mother loved me. The items scan with pleasant beep-s that fill Shudo's eardrums like tolls of bells, a strange sense of peaceful finality in them. Thank you for visiting, the cashier says in a monotone, and Shudo takes the bag they hand him. The items feel like a weight on his heart, but in his hands they're feathers of a bird set free. Mother made me able to love. This is the cheesiest thing ever, Uraraka says. You couldn't just go on Pinterest and find some actually creative idea? It's not cheesy, Izuku argues, shaping the foam into a heart. I came up with this idea myself, so I consider it to be rather creative. Yeah, sure, Uraraka says, and she crosses her arms. You better not chicken out or anything. I won't, Izuku promises. Anything to get you and Azui to stop making love eyes at each other. And I too would do anything to get you and Sho to stop making love eyes at each other. Izuku chuckles, and the movement makes his hand slip. The heart now looks more like an apple. Dim an it, Izuku says, and he takes a spoon from the drawer to scoop the mistake off of the cinnamon drink. Then he puts another blotch of cream on, shaping it again. But still, Izuku says, I don't think Sho likes me. Uraraka just smiles. We'll see. When Sho steps into the shop that day, looking significantly more tired than he usually does, Izuku finds that the confidence he had earlier in the morning is all gone. I don't think he likes me, Uraraka dash. Oh my god, yes he does, just please confess to him already. What if he rejects me? Will he stop coming? That'll be a blow to the business, wouldn't it? Oh my god, what if we go bankrupt because of me dash? You let him get half his drinks without paying already, I'm sure we'll be fine if he rejects you, which he won't, because he likes you back dash. Sho steps up to the counter, eye patch in place and black beanie a little crooked on his head. He has a paper bag in his hand as well as his usual messenger bag slung over his shoulder. Izuku straightens up with an eep, and Uraraka pats him on the back. Hi. Izuku says, and his voice cracks pitifully. He clears his throat. Hey Sho. Hello, Midoriya, Sho responds, and if he finds Izuku's behavior strange, he doesn't say anything about it. What do you recommend I drink today? Izuku's hands fiddle underneath the counter, unable to stay still. He'd practiced making whipped cream hearts for a while, and he was confident that he could pull it off, but now he's not so sure. A dash, Izuku smiles, and it's a little wobbly. I have well, I made you your iced coffee of course, but it's cinnamon, I mean you've had a cinnamon one but this one's a bit different, I just added some cream. I mean, I didn't just add some cream, the taste of the drink is completely different too dash. Midoriya, Sho says, cutting between Izuku's rambling. Are you alright? Why yes. Izuku squeaks. Anyways, I'll go and make that drink for you. You can go, wait for it dash. I haven't paid yet though. Why yeah, but I mean no, you don't have to dash. Nope, not today you're not. Uraraka says from the side, and Izuku breathes a sigh of relief. I have full authority to kick you out of the shop for good if you pay. I'm pretty sure you don't, Sho starts, but Uraraka interrupts him. Shoo, stop right there. You're not paying, pretty boy dash. Izuku sputters and tries not to faint. So just go to the waiting area and Deku-kun will have your drink ready soon. Sho tilts his head to the side, an action that makes Izuku think of a cat, but then he just shrugs and leaves the register. Thank you so much, Izuku says to Uraraka as soon as Sho's out of earshot. I was seriously going to pass out if you didn't say anything. I know, Uraraka chuckles and she slides a cup across the counter to Izuku. That much blood in anyone's face would be harmful. Was I really blushing that much? Izuku mumbles, rubbing at his cheeks. He slides the cup under the syrups, pumping in the perfect ratio of vanilla, caramel, and chocolate. Yes, Uraraka says and she gets started on the other orders. You were extremely obvious. You're lucky that Sho is so oblivious. Yeah, maybe because he doesn't like me back, Izuku hisses. Well, you won't know until you try, Uraraka tells him. Izuku slides the cup with the flavoring under the cold brew dispenser, flicking the switch up to the second-to-last line on the side. But what if he doesn't like me back? Izuku says, scoping ice into the cup until the container is full. Oh my god dash, Uraraka sets her cup down with a smack. Look, do you trust Sho? Izuku answers without even thinking. Yes. Do you think he's a nice person? The nicest. Then he won't try to hurt you, Uraraka says, and she grabs the cloth to wipe down some of her splattered drink. He also seems to really enjoy spending time with you, so I don't think he'd stop seeing you after a confession. Izuku takes a spoon and mixes the drink silently, pondering. If Sho doesn't like Izuku, then it's not the end of the world, is it? And if Sho does like Izuku, then of course that's a good thing. All he has to do is take the chance. Izuku drops a dollop of whipped cream on the cup, and he starts to shape it into a heart, like he'd practiced hundreds of times just that morning. Uraraka watches Izuku as he works, and then finally Izuku straightens up with a smile. It's done. Uraraka gives him a pat on the back and a thumbs up. The back room is open. Izuku nods. He takes a deep breath in, and he calls Sho to the counter. Iced coffee for Sho? Shudo straightens, paper bag weighing in his hand. He walks to the counter, ready to ask Midoriya to talk, but then, Midoriya greets when Shudo gets to the counter. Can we talk? Shudo blinks. Yes, we can. They stand at the counter awkwardly, before Midoriya says, I mean, privately. The back room is open, we can go there, I guess. Shudo nods, and Izuku steps out from behind the counter with Shachuo's drink in hand. Shudo feels a sense of dread. But to hell if that'll stop him from confessing to Midoriya. The back room is a little cold. That is the first thing that Izuku notices when the door clicks shut behind Sho. The second thing he notices is that his hands are wet, which shouldn't be as jolting as it is, since he's holding an ice drink that is slowly dripping moisture from the condensation, but it brings him back to reality in a hasty blur of sensation. Midoriya? Izuku starts, almost dropping the drink completely. To avoid that from happening, he sets the drink on the table, and Izuku turns to Sho as he wipes his hands on his apron. Izuku says intelligently. Sho stares at him blankly. He shifts the paper bag he's holding from his right hand to the other. The crinkling noise is deafening. I have something to tell you, they both say at the same time, and then they both pause for a second while staring at each other. Then they say at the same time again, you can go first. Izuku blinks at Sho. Sho sets the paper bag he's carrying down on the tiled floor. Then they both sigh. I can go first, they say again in unison. This time, Sho blinks at Izuku, or more like winks, because of the eye patch and all. Oh my god, Izuku says, and he decides to just rip off the band-aid. Grabbing the drink from the table, he shoves it into Sho's chest, face burning, and he squeals, I really like you. Izuku feels Sho clutch the drink, and then there's a small shuffling noise. You like me? There's a few seconds of silence, and Izuku prepares himself for the worst. Well, Midoriya, I have something to tell you too. Izuku's heart sinks in his chest. He ducks his head, staring at the floor, at his red shoes that he always wears. I mean, I have two things to tell you. I guess I should tell you the other thing first. Other thing? Now, I know you might hate me for this because it means I've lied to you for quite some time, and I understand if you would want to break ties with me after I tell you dash. But I think it's important, because it might change your feelings about me. And I don't want to force you into a relationship when you don't want to be in one. But I dash. Izuku looks up with confusion purposefully clear on his face. Sho is standing with his lips pursed, his cheeks a light pink, and his hands clasped nervously in front of him. I'm not actually Sho. What? Izuku asks. I mean, I am Sho, you know me as Sho. And that's the alias that I use most of the time, just so the media doesn't attack me when I'm out in public. Izuku stares. Then, who are you really? My name is Todoroki Shudo. You may know me better as Entropy. Sho, or Entropy, or Todoroki, finally meets Izuku's gaze, and Izuku watches in wonder as Sho, goddammit, Todoroki, slides his beanie off, revealing familiar red and white strands just a little bit mussed. Izuku notices distantly that he didn't take his eye patch off. Oh, Izuku says, and then he repeats, oh. Yeah, Todoroki says, and he looks down at the ground. The second thing is that, I like you too, Midoriya. And, I bought something for you. Todoroki hands Izuku the paper bag he was carrying, and with slightly trembling fingers, Izuku takes it from him. Inside the bag is a heart-shaped box of chocolates, and a pink envelope lined with gold. Izuku picks the envelope out of the bag. He looks up at Todoroki hesitantly. You should open it, Todoroki supplies, and Izuku nods numbly. The paper tears with ease, and Izuku opens it to see a shade of green cardstock. With nimble fingers, Izuku takes out the card, examining the front. It's almost entirely blank, there isn't a label or cheesy line, there's only an outline of some ferns and other types of foliage outlined in gold. Izuku flips open the card warily. The writing on the inside is also simple, just a few lines on the right flap, and Izuku is struck with the connection that this is also like Sho, Todoroki. It fits who Izuku has grown to know, grown to like, grown to maybe love. The script is neat and familiar, from what Izuku has seen of Todoroki's writing. Your curls are vines. You're my lifeline. Brew me something sweet, will you? I like you, Midoriya. Todoroki Shudo. Izuku feels tears well up in his eyes, and when he blinks he feels the salt slip past his lashes, down his cheeks, splattering on the card and making the carefully inked writing bleed. Midoriya? Todoroki says softly, stepping forwards. Izuku doesn't respond. He just clutches the ripped envelope and card at his chest, sobbing. Midoriya? Todoroki repeats, and a hand meets Izuku's shoulder. Midoriya, are you alright? Izuku grabs Todoroki's hand on his shoulder, and he leans upwards into Todoroki's space, examining his eyes, his skin, his white eyelashes, his dainty nose, his lips. I'm going to kiss you now, Izuku says, and Todoroki nods once before their lips meet. Can you take your eye patch off? Midoriya? Well, he told Shudo to call him Izuku, says suddenly. They're cuddled up on the couch of the break room, Uraraka telling them to, just get back there and do your lovey-dovey shenanigans, I can handle it up front. Shudo with his drink in his hand and Izuku munching happily on chocolates. Shudo freezes. Why? I want to see all of you, Izuku says, looking down at Shudo, who is sapping at his warmth from his arm draped over Izuku's frighteningly broad chest. Shudo swallows, glancing away before he says, all right. Izuku's fingers slip from Shudo's head to his eye patch, sliding under the band that wraps around Shudo's head and tugging at it, until Shudo feels the cool air hit his left cheek and he slowly blinks open the eyes he hadn't even noticed he'd closed. Izuku breathes in sharply, and Shudo ducks his head into Izuku's lap, hiding the scar. I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world. I'll keep the eye patch on, if that makes you more comfortable. Izuku seems to break out of his trance, and he shakes his head frantically. No. I think you look really pretty, Shudo. Shudo cranes his neck back up, meeting Izuku's softly smiling face. You do. Izuku leans down and presses a kiss to Shudo's temple. I do. Shudo's eyes slide shut, and he basks happily in the warmth, until Izuku says, Can I ask what happened? Shudo stills, eyes snapping open and glancing frantically at Izuku. Izuku seems to catch his panic, and he hastily adds, Not that you have to. I just would like to know so that I could help you. Because you're beautiful and stunning and amazing dash. Shudo's face heats up. And I don't think you realize that. So, if you want to tell me, then you can. Shudo pauses, swallowing, and then he clears his throat. Well, my father, he wasn't the greatest person. He married my mother to get higher up in the industry, since her family was pretty important and all, and he had 4 children until he deemed the perfect heir to the company or whatever. Shudo bites his cheek. I guess he decided that I was the one. The humming of the machinery in the background fills the silence that follows. Then Shudo continues, recounting memories of a painfully cold house that felt too hot sometimes, the loneliness, being separated from his siblings. So he trained me from pretty young. But he would also take his anger out on us. Hands on his throat, a backhand to the face over dinner. Whenever I did something he thought was wrong, he would punish me, and he would also hit my mother. In every memory I have of her, she's crying on the floor with some sort of wound. Izuku cards his hands through Shudo's hands, and he murmurs softly, Did your father give you your scar? Shudo smiles a little. I like to think that he did. But no, my mother gave it to me. He calls into the kitchen a small mother, and she turns around with a phone to her ear and her eyes are hard and unforgiving. Her hand grabs the whistling kettle. My father pushed her to the brink of insanity, I suppose. Shudo hums, and he twists the cuff of his sleeve between his fingers. She couldn't stand the sight of my left side. So one day she saw me, and she called me unsightly. Shudo brings his hand up to his left eye, a habit he's never quite escaped. Then she poured boiling water on my eye. Izuku gasps, and although it's quiet, Shudo can still hear him in the close proximity. There's a few moments of silence, with Izuku just petting Shudo's hair and Shudo just trying to keep memories at bay. I'm sorry for ruining the moment, Shudo says, reaching a hand up to caress Izuku's face. No, it's all right, Izuku says. Do you want to talk about something else? Shudo hums in affirmation. That would be nice. Okay, Izuku says. So, your entropy. I thought we made that clear. Izuku laughs, a bright bell-like sound that has dimples appearing on his freckled cheeks and a sound that makes Shudo's heart do something funny. Shudo smiles with Izuku. This doesn't feel real, that I'm dating Entropy, my inspiration in life. This doesn't feel real to me either, Shudo says, and they share a small smile. But anyways, Izuku continues, leaning back against the armrest of the sofa. Your album is coming out soon. Are you allowed to give me sneak peeks? Shudo pauses before humming a light tune. He smiles. There's your sneak peek. It already sounds great, Izuku says honestly. Which song is that from? It's from the last song in the album. Recognition clicks in Izuku's head. The one you added randomly? I commented under that tweet and then, oh my god, you followed me. Izuku seems to have a life-changing revelation for the second time that day, and he stares wondrously down at Shudo. You followed me. Yeah, Shudo says, and at Izuku's incredulous expression he laughs. I saw your comment and decided to follow you. I didn't really think about it. Oh my god, Izuku says, burying his face in his hands. That was you. Oh my god. Shudo chuckles, tugging Izuku's hands away from his face and leaning his cheek onto the warm palms of one. You know the 12th track is about you. Izuku stills above him. About me? Yes, Shudo says, and he allows his eyes to slip shut. The small verse in your card is from the song. You're joking, Izuku says, and Shudo blinks one eye open to lay him with a flat stare. No, I'm not joking. It's the same song I kept working on in the cafe. Izuku puts a hand to the bridge of his nose like he has a headache. Then he sighs, looking down at Shudo with affectionate annoyance. What's the song called? Something sweet, Shudo responds, and he nuzzles further into Izuku's chest. My father read it over and didn't want it in the album, but honestly I don't care anymore. Izuku chuckles, and Shudo can feel the movement of his chest underneath his cheek. The album's releasing in 2 days, right? That's going to be a publicity storm. Yeah, Shudo says. Although I'm not too sure if we'll be able to release it by then. I still don't have album art. Seriously? Izuku says, and he starts to card his fingers through Shudo's hair again. No wonder there's been no formal advertising for it. Yeah. Usually I don't take this long to choose something, but I just couldn't find the right. Shudo trails off, his eyes catching on a familiar worn sketchbook on the table. Shudo! Shudo sits up, blinking owlishly, then he turns to look at Izuku. Izuku! Izuku smiles. Shudo! Can you do the album art for me? Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. Paragon has been released on Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Play Music. Thank you for supporting me along the journey. I'm eternally grateful for such devoting fans. 5,736 retweets, 32,837 likes. 12 January XX. I'm screaming at Illy Entropy. At T_. Your music is great, of course we'd support you. And also the hashtag Entropy album is spectacular. Are y'all seeing that cover art? 1,243 retweets, 3,254 likes. 10:31 January XX. Hey at hike_. At T_. Honey, this whole entire album is top tier. You better win something for this. 1,254 retweets, 4,630 likes. 10:39 January XX. What's poppin' at popcorn? At hike_you at candid_. Yeah, the music is amazing, but what about the FING music videos? That sheet was wild, serving visuals. Woo. 273 retweets, 2,473 likes. 10:40 January XX. Elsie at GoGo. Y'all talking about the tracks and the music videos, but can we talk about the elephant in the room? 345 retweets, 1,275 likes. 10:55 AM January XX. Entropy follow. Is Entropy, Todoroki Shudo, gay? At this point we have significant evidence to believe so, especially with his most recent album, Paragon. Many have believed that the album is a commentary on the industry and how the expectations for many traits are unnecessarily high as well as unchangeable. Paragon, as a noun, means something perfect or model-like, and so the idea of coming out under a name like that would speak heavily of the ideals of the album. We gather most of the evidence from the 12th track in the album called Something Sweet, which seems to be the first love song that Entropy has ever released. It seemingly revolves around the theme of a cafe barista he's fallen in love with, seen in the lines, "He has that apron, 1 cup for show, and brew me something sweet, will you?" Some speculate that it's the same barista that flunked his order 3 weeks ago, whom Entropy talked about in the Candid Tonight interview. We know that this love isn't completely fabricated, like many love songs tend to be, with the very specific lyrics and lines that Entropy uses to describe the barista, primarily in the verse that reads, "He has 8 freckles, he has fern green curls, my day now sparkles, his love can unfurl." Something that all these verses share in common is how they're all about a male individual. Is this Entropy's coming out song? It makes sense also given the fact that Entropy has shown no romantic attraction to any women. He's been asked in countless interviews about his love life and if he has a girlfriend, but every single time he responds that he's not interested. This has made many people, including myself, believe him to be Arrow Ace, but with Something Sweet and its rather romantic themes, that might not be the case. I mean, either way I'm gonna support this probable gay icon because coming out would be very difficult, especially in Endeavor Studios where the pressure is notoriously high. Please send him all your support. 24,485 notes. #Entropy, #Entropy album, #Paragon, #Paragon album, #Todoroki Shudo, #Todoroki, if he's gay I'll support him with everything I got, still waiting for a formal confirmation though, so everyone stay calm. Inquirer Daily, top music articles past 24 hours. Is Entropy, the rising pop sensation, gay? By Sonda Yoichi, 2:34 p.m. Entropy comes out in latest album by Hori Takumi, 7:42 a.m. Eat Your Hearts Out, Entropy Fangirls. By Kitagawa Yu, 6:23 p.m. Paragon is top in the charts by Taijima Cho, 8:21 p.m. Congratulations! Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org 11:10 a.m., 0 minutes ago. To Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org. Todoroki-san, you're trending. I'm so proud of you. And it seems like people are catching on to your 12th track, so that's great too. And of course, your album art looks great. You should get Midoriya Izuku to make your next covers too. I also managed to hold off your father just in time for you to squeeze your release in. But I'm sure that when he sees what's going on online, he'll explode into metaphorical flames, so please brace yourself for that. Fukuda Akira. Congratulations. Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org 12:05 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without your support. Congratulations. Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org 12:10 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org. Oh yeah, did you manage to get together with your crush? Fukuda Akira. Congratulations. Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org 1:10 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org. Todoroki-san? Congratulations. Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org 1:15 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org. I did. He quite enjoyed the last song. Congratulations. Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org 1:17 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org. Additionally, I need some help with something. Specifically starting a new production company and telling my father off. Can you book an appointment with him tonight? Congratulations. Fukuda Akira at EndeavorStudios.org 1:21 p.m., 0 minutes ago. To Todoroki Shudo at EndeavorStudios.org. Of course, Todoroki-san. I'm proud of you. HQ at 420 Blazite. I'm listening to hashtag Paragon and is Entropy actually gay? Because a lot of people are assuming stuff and honestly that's kinda rude, so just wanna confirm. 12 retweets, 200 likes. 4:09 p.m. January XX. Polar at Adela_Seltzer. At 4:20 Blazite, I think so. All the pronouns that he uses to address the barista in something sweet are male, so I think he's gay. 32 retweets, 176 likes. 4:15 p.m. January XX. Bosom. The Mai. At Adela_Seltzer at 4:20 Blazite, also he's never shown interest to getting a girlfriend in interviews before, so I think that's pretty conclusive. 2 retweets, 51 likes. 4:20 p.m. January XX. Pargan Parlkjet Limelight. At 4:20 Blazite at Adela_Seltzer at Maya he yeah that's all true, but we really shouldn't assume until we get a clear statement from Entropy. 1 retweets, 32 likes. 4:23 p.m. January XX. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. At Limelight the speculation is true. I, Entropy, or Todoroki Shudo, am gay. And yes, the 12th song is about a person I have romantic interest in, and I love him a lot. 7,374 retweets, 55,003 likes. For 31 m January XX. Pargan Parlkjet Limelight. Well, okay then no. 21 retweets, 389 likes. For 34 p.m. January XX. I'm screaming at Illy Entropy. So it's a real person. And we know that the only man that Entropy has talked about a lot is that one barista, and something sweet is also about a barista. Eve connected the 2 dots. 21 retweets, 108 likes. For 37 p.m. January XX. Entropy heavy checkmark at T_. At Illy Entropy IVI. Image attached. The screenshot from BuzzFeed's Unsolved series, closed captions reading, I've connected the 2 dots. You didn't connect sheet, I've connected them. 5,385 retweets, 43,947 likes. 3:31 m January XX. Fukuda Akira proud of my sleep-deprived plus caffeinated gay son heavy checkmark at Akira_Studios. At T_, the only consistent thing about this whole ordeal is your trash but sleep schedule, oh my god please sleep. 3,536 retweets, 19,374 likes. 7:20 m January XX. Shudo taps on the glass of the window at Plus Ultra Brews, his breath fogging in the cold air. It's way before opening time, but Shudo couldn't sleep and he knows that Izuku gets to the cafe early anyways. Shudo has his bag with him, his notepad, his laptop, and his headphones that he knows he won't use as much with Izuku buzzing around him. He has his beanie and eye patch on as well. Getting recognized would be another mess to deal with, and after the already present disaster of a conversation Shudo had with his father last night, he doesn't want that. The conversation with his father. It had been nerve-wracking, to say the least, telling Enji that he wanted to leave Endeavor Studios to set up his own music production company was another step in a long path. But Shudo knows that with Akira and Izuku at his side, he can do it. Through the glass, Shudo waves at Izuku, and Izuku seems to catch the movement in his peripheral vision. Shudo sees Izuku through the window, and he sees when Izuku sees him, waving frantically back and placing the cup he's holding down on the table. Izuku wipes his hands on his apron and then practically flips over the counter to open the door for Shudo. The whoosh of warm air and a coffee-scented breeze washes over Shudo's face. "Hello," Izuku says. "Hello," Shudo responds. Izuku takes Shudo by the hand, dragging him inside. The warm air is now familiar, and the sights of tables and chairs are familiar too, but Shudo keeps his eyes trained on Izuku, who smiles back at him brilliantly, and then they come to a halt at the front of the register. Izuku slides back behind the counter, and Shudo smiles lightly as a new song comes on over the speakers. The instrumental is instantly recognizable. Glass panes and wooden ceilings. Shudo's own voice echoes back at him. Orange lights and green ferns. Can he tell me, what are these feelings? Can he teach me, can I learn? Shudo ducks his head down, thoroughly embarrassed. Izuku just laughs at him. You had to play this song. Shudo chastises when the vocals break into more instrumentals. Yup. Izuku says. Something sweet is my favorite, and for good reason. He has that apron, he has that smile. Shudo's words sing, and Izuku hums along to the lyrics. My heart is taken, his robbery agile. I have this next part memorized, Izuku tells him, smiling wide with the sun beaming on his apron. Sing it with me? Shudo rolls his eyes, but he complies anyway. One cup for show. Izuku carols with the song over the speakers, his voice a spring soprano. Two skips for him, Shudo rumbles, singing a tune he'd practiced over and over in a quiet studio at midnight. 300 yen dash. For awkward hellos. Shudo smiles at Izuku, loving and adoring and oh so soft, like linens freshly washed and cotton laid on roses, and Izuku smiles back with sugar-sweet eyes and jade lashes. Your curls are vines. The lyrics whisper over the crackly speakers as it breaks into the chorus. So, show, Izuku says teasingly, and Shudo is struck with a wave of deja. What can I get you today? And Shudo thinks of his life, his path, his journey to this shop. In a sea of hatred and nothing and spirals of meaningless things that Izuku gave meaning to, drowning and bobbing along the waves with no hope of survival. You're my lifeline dash. Shudo smiles with the next lyrics, and he meets Izuku's eyes when he sings. Brew me something sweet, will you?